just to say, this room isn't meant to be any sort of dig or anything like that. I'm kind of just analysing the statement. In my rooms, I'd just really like to look at the language that people use rather than, targeting the individuals. I do appreciate when it's coming from a specific person who might have specific characteristics, that it might have a particular level of impact. So I do take that on board, and I do appreciate that. But what I want to start off firstly by doing, to say thank you everybody who's joined. I'm just going to pin the Discord and also obviously the hashtags Molly-Mae Hague. I'm going to pin the Discord if people want to, post any comments, or if they want to speak to me about it, because I don't check DMs on Clubhouse anymore because they're too slow. I've opened it up a little bit earlier at 8:54, but that's all right. I'm just going to pin the Discord. So what I'm going to firstly do is I'm going to look at Molly-Mae. Obviously, my sources, nothing said in my rooms is factual. It's all alleged. It's just based on. I'm just a bloke on the internet speaking about stuff that I see on the internet, to be honest with you. So, everybody should do their own research. But the starting point is, what were the comments? Okay. So my source for this is the veritable newspaper, The Sun, and apparently, so Molly-Mae is somebody who is best known to people from appearing in Love Island in 2019. But do please ping in all your network and all your members if you don't mind. And she's capitalised. Apparently, she's 22, and she became in 2021. She became the creative director of the clothing brand Pretty Little Thing, a title with a 7-figure salary. So 7 figures, that's at least $1 million. So that she's done quite well there. So the interviews. It was an interview first shared on December 13th, 2021. Clip went viral in January 5th, a couple of days ago. And this is what she says. I might play it later on, but I'll read it for now. She claims she's worked my absolute ASSE off to get where I am now, and everyone has the same 24 hours. She said, you're given one life, and it's down to you what to do with it. You can literally go in any direction. When I've spoken about that in the past, I've been slammed a little bit, with people saying, it's easy for you to say that because you've not grown up in poverty. So for you to sit there and say we all have the same 24 hours in a day is not correct. But technically what I'm saying is correct. We do. So that's the statement. And then she went on to say, I understand we all have different backgrounds and we're all raised in different ways. Oh, hang on a second. Sorry, forgive me. And we're all raised in different ways. We do have different financial situations, but I think if you want something enough, you can achieve it. It just depends on what lengths you want to. This thing is jumping all over the place. Sorry about this. It's these pop-ups. I'll continue in a second. It's just moving all over the place. Okay. It just depends on what lengths you want to go to get where you want to be in the future, and I'll go to any length. She then added, I've worked my absolute to get where I am now. Okay, so that's the statement. So a couple of things. I've given the background. She was in Love Island. She's 22 years old, and she's made this statement. And so the position in the room is, so I'm going to posit that some people think that she's right. Okay. I'm not going to say who. Maybe the people either come upstage and confirm that or not. My perspective, I am literally just asking the question. What I say about me is this: is that I just do things. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. But in terms of what, whether she's right about what she's saying or not, some people do believe she was right. So other people say that what she said is misguided, or maybe taken out of context. But I want to hear. Let's hear what you lot think, and just keep it respectful. It's going to be just popcorn initially, and PTR if it gets a bit disruptive and so on. And as I say, if you've got any questions about, if there's anything that you want me to say, for example, or any links you want to post, do post them in the Discord, which is pinned. So I'll just kind of kick off. I'll just throw it to the people on the stage. Who wants to jump in? What do we think about it? Anybody? Sorry, let me do this. Is there anybody on stage who thinks that she was correct in what she said?
Yes.
Okay, what?
I too. I agree.
So two to the two gentlemen. Do you want to start off? Was that King Yoruba first? I can't see one mic is
Yeah.
on.
I think what she said was a general statement, and it should be taken as such. Um, of course, with all general statements, there's exceptions, and I feel like people are taking what she said too literally. Secondly, um, there's plenty of rags to riches stories. Just on the top of my head, there's Jay-Z, there's Rio Ferdinand, there's 50 Cent. So many examples, right? And these people would agree with the sentiment that Molly-Mae said. Because to be successful in this world, to be the pinnacle of success, you have to have a ridiculous belief in yourself to the point where if you tell other people what you want to achieve, they will look at you like you're ridiculous. And that's what separates the best from the average. So, yeah, that's what I'll say for now.
Thank you, King Yoruba. Yeah, and anybody, yeah, everybody's welcome to come up to the stage. I'll just close it and then I'll open it up again. I'm not sure. Sometimes you might have to leave to come back in. If you've already raised your hand, because sometimes it's a bit buggy. Thanks for that, King Yoruba. And you made a comparison to what maybe I know some people say gender and race and those things do come into this discussion and where people are placed and making the things they do, but I'm sure people might develop on those later. But the point made in relation to Jay-Z, obviously I'd have to go and check the quote myself, but if I take on board what King Yoruba said and that Jay-Z made that point, I mean, I guess he said it, and I'm not sure what people's reaction to what he said is. So that does provide part of the fabric in the conversation. Go ahead, Harry's. Go. What was your view? You're as somebody who thinks she might be correct.
I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
will keep it simple because I think I said this in the other room.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's her own personal opinion. If that's what she believes, I don't see, and everyone else disagrees, I don't see why they'd be offended.
No, no, I hear you. So people who think she was wrong, do any of the? I think we've got some the ladies and anybody who thinks she was wrong in terms of what she said. And I'm going to repeat it again. So actually, what I'm going to do is thank you for that, gentlemen. I'm going to just repeat it again, just to give the context to the other people who've joined the room. As I said, if you've got any comments, do use the hashtag on Twitter and also join the Discord if you need to send me a DM. So Molly-Mae, Love Island 2019. She's 22. She became the creative director of Pretty Little Thing in 2021, and she's in an interview with a gentleman. I'm going to cover that actually. What he says, the gentleman said the gentleman who interviewed her said in her defence on, I think it was a Shade Borough, but so she claims she's worked my absolute arse off to get where I am now. Everyone has the same 24 hours. You're given one life, and it's down to you what you do with it. You can literally go in any direction. When I've spoken about that in the past, I've been slammed a little bit with people saying it's easy for you to say that because you've not grown up in poverty. So for you to sit there and say we all have the same 24 hours in a day is not correct. But technically what I'm saying is correct. We do. I understand we all have different backgrounds and we're all raised in different ways and we do have different financial situations, but I think I'm going to go to the okay. So 1 second, but I think I'm gonna just copy and paste this because this is getting on my nerves. But I think if you want something enough, you can achieve it. It just depends on what lengths you want to go to get where you want to be in the future. And I'll go to any length. She then added, I've worked my absolute ASSE off to get where I am now. So just for the people who disagree with what she said, go ahead, just it's popcorn. Who disagrees? Okay, come up, Courtney. I'm going to Control C this and putting this in the Discord, the description. A bit of silence. All right, what I'll do is I mean, what I've heard, and I might just go through some comments for this, is that, yeah, so one thing that I've heard is that people think that she's not taken into account the fact that, you know, she may have had some success already. She might be in a slightly demographic, and if you're in a different demographic, that might come with certain constraints in relation to, you know, the amount of time that you have. So if you're on low income, you might have to earn more hours to make the same amount of money. You might also have childcare responsibilities, and I guess all sorts of other, you know,
Yeah, but
protected
I think
characteristics might come into it. So yeah,
yeah, but
so
you have to
jump
remember
in.
that she
Go on,
is
Courtney.
young. So she's like my age. I'm sure she's like 22, 23.
Yeah.
So ideally she has no kids. She still lives with her parents. So there is no responsibility. Now everyone understands the concept of when you go into Love Island and you do this whole public persona where people either like you or they don't like you. Now she got very far, so people started to look at her character. They started to look like she is an asset to whatever business that appeals to what they're looking for and representatives that they would like to be represented by. So everyone knows that when you go into Love Island, you either make it with some deals or you don't. Okay, she was lucky enough to have endorsement deals, um, publishers. She was able to just create this Molly-Mae persona. Before Love Island, she was just her. But now you can't now take an opportunity, blow from it, and then criticize people about, oh, but we're all given the same chances, the same opportunities, the same kind of work ethics, and at the end of the day, everyone can have potential. No one can have potential because if you do not have any liabilities in your life, no responsibilities, you are able to take those opportunities. Now, for you to almost blow off of Love Island, everyone kind of knows Love Island is a great place to put yourself out there and get yourself known. Now, people who don't want to put themselves out there, don't want to humiliate themselves, don't want to be in the public eye, are now having to do the grafting work. And I feel like it's always people that are given this major opportunity that want to now criticize the working class or people that are just going up the ladder and didn't get picked up and get taken on a crane to the top, and then they want to sit there and say, oh well, if you work as hard as me and if you did this and if you take all these opportunities you can be like this. At the end of the day, people are brought up into different ways it classes. People have different backgrounds, people have different responsibilities, people probably have debt, people just have a different, they've just been dealt with different cards in it. Some people go through the struggle then succeed, some people are born into success, some people go through the struggle and never succeed. But for you to sit there and almost gloat and then say that, well, me, I'm the same as everyone else. No, you're not. Because without Love Island, you'll probably still be working in Topshop or wherever the fuck you work. So
Hello.
I just feel like certain people just need to understand that it shouldn't be a thing where people should look at it like, oh, she's belittling me and she's making it seem like she's living this best life. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone has been dealt different things, and people just need to give themselves credit. I think we always want to look at all these celebrities and give them credit, but we don't give us as normal human beings enough credit. There are people that wake up, you guys take your kids out, you got cook, clean, pay your bills on time, increase your credit. You've got a home that you're a proud owner, you probably own your car. I feel like when we start to get almost, I don't know, we start to almost look at these celebrities that they're amazing. Like these people have so much, I don't know, like these people are just amazing fucking human beings, like they're fucking godlike. At the end of the day, people need to give themselves credit. They need to applaud themselves and stop caring about what these fucking celebrities are, because at the end of the day, if you want to put yourself out there, you can get as many opportunities, but people just don't have that given choice. People don't have that option. So I think people just need to just understand that you are given a set of cards, deal with it and applaud yourself because you are working for it and you're striving for it. I don't think we give ourselves as just normal human beings who are just average people enough credit. We always want to gloat and give other people credit, but at the end of the day, you're a hard grafter and you've obviously been through the struggle and you've made it. I hate that. I hate that interview.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, darling.
So, Courtney, Ali watched, well, not watched, Ali heard like a sound bite of what she said. What did she say that amounts to her criticizing the working class?
It was more to do with her almost putting herself in like the same kind of, I need to go back to it because I listened to it on my break. This was like how many hours ago? But she almost put herself in like the common ground of, oh, I understand something, but I can't relate to it. But I've been able to look at my struggle and then succeed. I don't think that she recognized that Love Island is obviously the scapegoat to success. People purposely sign up. There are thousands of people that sign up because they understand once you go on public TV, you are recognized by a lot of brands, and ITV are sponsored by big companies that make millions. Do you get it? So she was almost looking at it like, well, I was given an opportunity, I've taken it, and now look at me. Like, you're gloating. If you weren't on Love Island, you'd be a commoner. You wouldn't have all these major followers. So I hate when people almost want to look at, well, I was probably what, a manager at a retail company, but I'm now able to go on TV and now I'm a superstar. Like, there are people who are, say, a cleaner, or there's people that probably work a lower position than you, so you do not have any type of relatability to them because you were still at a higher position when you was a nobody. And that's what she was doing. She was gloating the fact that she was on the same level as everyone, but you really wasn't, type of thing.
Okay, I mean, one more thing, and then I'll give the floor to someone else. I mean, if that's what she said, then I can see the issue with that. My second question to you is, Jay-Z said the exact same thing. Do you take issue with him saying what he said?
Yeah, but then I don't know. I don't really listen to his music, but I would assume that his come up was more public, where like he was probably rapping it and he was doing it and it was hard. Like, this is the problem. If I don't know, I can't really
No,
speak
no,
on
no,
Jay-Z.
no.
I'm just
I
gonna
Well,
mean,
go
I
for
said,
the sake
I
of
mean,
what
he's a
My
black man.
okay.
He,
Jay-Z said he's been spending money since the 80s,
he
that he made in the 80s still. He had a bit of money still, but anyway, go on.
Jay-Z is a black man who grew up in the
Mhm.
projects of New York. He's a typical rags to riches. Well, I could say an exceptional rags to riches story because he's a billionaire now, right? Now,
Mhm.
he said, we all have the same 24 hours. Do you take issue with him saying that?
You know the thing about
Can I
Jay-Z
just,
though is,
yeah,
can I just
yeah.
come in? Because Jay-Z made a whole album, 444, that actually spat out the game. And what he said in that album is that actually you have to accumulate knowledge in order to acquire success. And the fact is that not everybody has the same access to information. And I think what the issue that people are
Can
having
someone
with
answer
what
my question,
Molly
please?
made, I'm
I don't
answering
think
it.
there's any
I'm in the
difference.
middle of answering it right now.
Just
Okay.
let Nick hold, let's let Nick hold go, and then it's going to be Mike back to King Europe just to determine whether it's a satisfactory answer. But go on, Nicole. Yeah.
So in saying that, the issue that people are having with what Molly-Mae is saying is that actually what she's not acknowledging is the systems in which are working in her favor. And there is this mentality that people have of meritocracy, and that based on your own merit, you are able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get to wherever it is that you want in the world. And the fact is, there are opportunities that not everybody has. And Jay-Z is an example of one man who was able to do that. And if you listen to the entire album of 444, he tells you the ways in which he was able to do it. He's an anomaly. He's not the majority. But Molly-Mae and people who look like Molly-Mae are the majority and are better able to access the privileges in which that she has. So actually, is there an issue with what Jay-Z is saying? In my opinion, in 444, he essentially says that as a community in Black America, what you have to recognize is that being consumers and spending money in the way in which that you're socialized to do, it doesn't help you build wealth. Instead, what you need to learn how to do is invest. So with that, he's telling people what you need to do to invest and how it is that he's managed to accumulate wealth. Molly-Mae wasn't doing that. What she was doing is completely disregarding the systems in which have helped her to get to where it is, and just saying that all she did was work hard, all she does is work hard. And actually, no, there was a lot of privileges that she's had in terms of her race, in terms of her class, in terms of her pretty privilege, in terms of her being relatable, in terms of her audience, that has helped her to get to where it is that she is.
Okay, so from what I gather from what you said, is because Jay-Z has added additional context to the statement, we all have the same 24 hours. You find what he said appropriate. Is that what you're saying, Nicole?
I'm saying that the reason why people don't take issue to what Jay-Z has said is because he's gone out of his way to help people from those communities that he talks about to accumulate wealth and the knowledge necessary to get to those positions.
Okay,
Can
so
I jump in?
okay, I'm not, don't get me wrong, right? I'm not trying to cape for Molly-Mae, but I just don't like to make assumptions, right? We don't know
Sorry, can I
what.
just say, just pause for a second. Keep that thought. Nobody DM me on here, please. Just DM me in the Discord. I don't read DMs on Clubhouse anymore because it's too slow. But go on. You're gonna get the mic back two more times, King Yoruba, after a few comments, and then it's gonna be on to other people. Go on,
Yeah,
King
I'll be
Yoruba.
quick. I don't know what Molly-Mae has done in her private life, so I can't come to the conclusion that, that she hasn't done the same thing, but yeah, I'll leave it there.
I
No,
just
but
wanted
this is
to
the problem.
say,
No, go on, babe. Go on. I got.
I just wanted to say, I'm gonna have to disagree with Nicole on that. I think the comment to say we all have the same 24 hours is incorrect. And if Jay-Z said that, regardless of his come up and his success story, it is still wrong, because like we have rightfully said on this platform, not everyone has the same opportunities, not everyone has the same access to the wealth of knowledge that Jay-Z has, or not everyone has the doors open for them the way maybe Jay-Z has. He's one out of how many? I think, and because Molly-Mae is so young, I think I'm gonna place a lot of the ignorance based off of her age and what she's heard. Because once upon a time, I think we were all saying, we've all got the same 24 hours as Beyonce, so why can't we do what she does? But the reality is we can't all do what Beyonce does, because we don't all have maybe the skill, we don't all have certain talents, we don't have
Good
access
evening.
to certain individuals, etc., etc. So I just think, as a whole, whoever says it, whether a black man, white man, a female, male, whatever, I think that mentality and that ideology is wrong. There are so many various factors that can what's the word I'm looking for, that can
Influence.
that can influence the 24 hours that we have, and that can influence our opportunities. For example, I can go for a job and a white woman can go for a job, and simply because of her race, she can get the job simply just because of that. You got me? So I think when when these celebrities say this, I honestly think it's because they are so far from reality. That's my honest opinion on that.
So can I just add?
Can
When
I?
I read the interviews, I was reading it as you were speaking. I keep coming to the same conclusion. I keep thinking that she's referring to motivation. She's not disregarding anybody else has any difficulties and she does not. She simply is referring to motivation, and that's it.
Can I
Can I add something to that?
Oh.
So, Harry. So I mentioned earlier when we spoke about this, and I think Molly. I agree. I think she's referring to motivation. However, there's a danger here, and that danger is this idea that you simply work hard and you get it. It's something that is sent out all the time, and it's dangerous because it's not true. We there's a fallacy that we live in a meritocracy society, and that isn't true. And often the only people who know that are the people who come from marginalized groups. So when you come from a marginalized group, you know very well that simply working hard isn't true, because you've worked hard and you've not had those things happen to you. Okay, you've ticked all the boxes. You've done everything that everyone says you should do in order to get by, and that doesn't work for you, because the reality is we do not live in a society that is equal and that is fair. And so literally we all have the same 24 hours if we were talking about that, but we live in an economy that is made up, that is unequal, and that is dangerous. So I fully agree and hear where she was trying to come from, and I think this, and I think there's a slight difference in the way Jay-Z presented that argument, and the way Molly presented that argument. And I say that in the fact that she herself mentioned that when I have said this before, people have pulled out and spoken about the fact that I come from privilege, I haven't had to deal with these areas, and that's what she dismissed. Okay, if she had not dismissed that, then we could have listened to her points and took it from a motivational point of view. I am fully in agreement, okay, that we can all, I fully believe that we can all be what we want to be, and I fully believe in us working extremely hard, putting out all the stops, and the things that we really need to be do successful is something else, and you have to believe in yourself. I'm all here for all of that, but that doesn't take away from the fact that some of us are going to still have to work harder as a result of where we're coming from, regardless of where we are. And whilst we may think there are loads of rags to riches stories, there actually aren't, because even it's what the media and what we things that we put out there, and in reality they are very few and far between, because there are 7 billion people in the world. All these rags to riches stories that we think we are seeing, they are anomalies. They're not the norm, and it's dangerous for us to present that and make people think, right, that it's as simple as that if you want to go there. And particularly if you think about it, when she said, if you do whatever it takes, when the reality is they are doing whatever it takes. But and often whatever it takes is criminality, violence, and all the rest of it, because people in poverty are the people who end up there. So they are doing whatever it takes, but they're just not doing whatever it takes because you don't think what their whatever it takes was acceptable. And then you want to say to them, yeah, but you didn't have to do this and you didn't have to do all that. And you can say that if you're saying that from a position where you don't even understand it. And the reality is that's problematic, because that level of ignorance is a level of ignorance that the majority of our society, or people who are in places or positions of power, are working from. So they never see the need in order to help other people. It's a very dangerous position. And the reason why we can't simply say it's her opinion, because she wasn't chatting with her friends and someone overheard her. She was doing a live interview as an influencer. And so this is a new thing, whether we like it or not, or we don't want to accept it. We've now come to a position where media and social media means that we have people in places of influence which are influencing other people. And so that stance and that level of ignorance is highly dangerous.
Yes, but that will depend on the credibility one attributes to her. Okay, so she was an influencer based on her taste and fashion. Okay, she would dress up in an outfit and post it on Instagram. If people look at her as a credible source, for example, someone who's knowledgeable, yes, that would be a problem. But I don't believe people hold her to the same stature as someone who has a high IQ or has a lot of life experience. So you have to attribute. You can't attribute blame to her for something that you don't know, because unless you look at her and saying that you believe everything that she says.
So just quick one. Housekeeping. Oh yeah, you come up. Sometimes you have to go back inside to come back outside. Continue what you're saying. I think that's Harry. Go on.
It's okay, Orlando.
Apologies for
But
interrupting.
Harry,
You know
one
what?
second, you lot. Can I just do a
Can
quick reset? So, I won't read the whole thing, but yeah. So thank you very much. This is UK Panther Talks. Just discussing Molly-Mae's comments on the interview. I actually look at what the gentleman was saying in her defence. If you go to the Discord, it's all set out there in terms of what the comments were. But what she said is, I understand we all have different backgrounds. We've all raised in different ways. We do have different financial situations. But I think if you want something enough, you can achieve it. It just depends on what lengths you want to go to get where you want to be in the future. And I'll go to any lengths. I've worked my absolute arse off. And she also said, sorry, I just want to make sure I quote it exactly how she said it. And I should just say, this room isn't an attack by me at all against Molly-Mae or anything like that. It's just literally, I've shared the room actually, and I've just said, this room is about what does it take to be successful. It's just analysing the language, because ultimately, she said what she said, but some people think that what she said was right and some people don't, and people do. I've heard this 24-hour thing before, so I just thought people might want to come in here and discuss it. So please do join the Discord. You'll be able to see it in there, precisely what she said. Let me go back to it. When I've spoken about that in the past, I've been slammed a little bit with people saying it's easy for you to say that because you've not grown up in poverty, so for you to sit there and say we all have the same 24 hours in a day is not correct. But technically, what I'm saying is correct. We do. And yes, she'd said earlier, you're given one life, and it's down to you what you do with it. You can literally go in any direction. I've worked my absolute arse. to get where I am now, and everyone has the same 24 hours. So that's what we're discussing. Please follow me for future rooms. And yeah, join the Discord, and yeah, so go for it.
Can I,
It's popcorn style.
can
Go
I,
for it.
can I, can I
Okay.
just say something in response to what Pre-Dot and Martha said? I agree with your points, right? But in regards to what you said, that there's such few rags to riches stories, right? The reason why I feel there's such few is because the mentality that's required to achieve that level of success that people have, it's ridiculous. Like I'm quite interested in looking at the biography and the stories of, the people that that we would all collectively regard as successful. So I've watched 50 Cent's story, Eminem's, Puff Daddy, all the big people that you think about. When I've watched their stories, the normal, rational, reasonable person would not endure the things that they endured. Like I remember watching a quote that Will Smith said. He said, "To go through the things I have done, a rational person wouldn't do it because they would have given up." So that's why I think there's such few people who are at the pinnacle of success. And the fact that so many people, right, can't uh, can't relate to the idea of we all have the same 24 hours. I think that's a reflection why there's only very few people at the top. And I'll land there.
I'm
Can
gonna.
No,
I
but
It's
then
can
this
I
wait.
is
ask
Can
the
a
I?
question,
Say?
problem.
please?
All right, I'm gonna take a
But
quick. I'm gonna take
King,
a quick. Who I did see Courtney on mic first. Just after who's the next two people?
Can I?
Vina.
Please
Can I
go?
So
I
go
just
as
so
want
well,
to.
so it'll be
please?
Courtney,
Lydia,
Vina.
I haven't
I'll just do
spoken.
three for.
Lydia.
Okay, I'll do Claudia, Vina, and then Nicole. Then sorry, Courtney,
I've
Vina,
been. I've been trying to say. I'm not even
and
trolling. I'm actually.
Penopoli. Okay,
Yeah.
and then India, that's it.
But
and Nicole as
Lydia,
well.
I
Yeah,
haven't
that's
spoken.
fine. Go ahead, Courtney. Go ahead,
Oh,
Courtney.
Lydia, sorry.
It's
No,
basically
but this
everybody
is
on
the
stage.
thing.
Go on, Courtney.
But this is why I kind of hate these whole like success stories, because what happens is you hear them not talk about it, but as soon as they blow up, they now want to be this whole activist. Yeah, everyone can do it. No, this is the problem. People need to understand. Yeah, is that when you talk about the struggles that you've been going through and you're now successful, you now can't use your story and make it seem like it's going to be what is it, what's the word, like applicable to everyone else, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you can notice poverty that she said or financial difficulties, you almost sympathize with it, but you don't understand the actual main damage it does because you do not face it. And I feel like
Sorry, Courtney. Please,
anyone
no DMs, please. All DMs have to be sent by Discord. I don't check DMs on
everyone
here anymore. Go on, Courtney.
everyone
Sorry.
can acknowledge the fact that something could happen, but unless it happens to you, you have a different story. So she can acknowledge that, yeah, everyone's got the same 24 hours, regardless if you're in poverty or regardless if you have money issues. But the fact is that you don't know the impact of those two factors that stop people from reaching their goals, from
Mm-hmm.
making people incapable of being the best at the best. People have made wrong decisions. People have had to deal with implications that probably wasn't even caused by them. So the fact that people want to sit here on a successful pedestal and now want to look down on people, but
Mm-hmm.
then show people gratitude and show them some belittling sympathy, like fuck that shit. Because my girl never said anything during her come up. People all want to do this promotional and motivational speak once they get there, because now you can talk about something that you actually live in because it's relatable to you and people in your demographic. But to sit there and say like, oh yeah, I can see it happen and I understand. No, you don't, because you don't understand the
Mm-hmm.
factors that these things happen and what these things do in order for people to progress in life. I just feel like it's very like
Just
stupid.
before Vina goes, some people say that's a victimhood
Yep,
mentality. That's what
yep.
some people
All I'm
say.
hearing is excuses. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but I'll get back to you. Lot. I want Vina to go. I want Vina to go.
So success is subjective, right? And when we're speaking about success at the moment, we're talking about getting to a certain level, right? In terms of money wise. Now, not everybody's success, well, idea of success is the same. And I've just been sitting here thinking that for the last 2 years, we've had NHS workers working their butts off for next to no pay at all. They get paid next to nothing, right? And then we've got other people talking about we've all got the same 24 hours. Yes, we do. But our lives are all different. in that same 24 hours. And some people won't be able to get to the success that Molly-Mae is because there's people underneath her that are working in the factories, creating those clothes for minimum wage or less than minimum wage so that she can have the success that she has today.
Thank
So
you.
it's very easy to sit and say, yeah, we all got 24 hours in a day. But let's also think about during the pandemic, before the pandemic, when people are working 2 to 3 jobs and still having to go to the food bank. We need to be real about the gender pay gap, about the racial pay gap, and about the discrimination that exists. And it's not even about having a victim mentality. It's about being real. And to say that we've only got the same 24 hours in a day and not going into more depth about it, it's just making it seem that life is black and white. And life is not black and white. It's not black and white at all. Look at the gentrification that is happening in London and major cities. My aunts lives outside of London, right? So that I can afford to live in a nicer place that is bigger rather than living in some little cramped up studio in London. I moved out of London because of the gentrification. And so, yeah, we all do have the same 24 hours. And yeah, I live good because I live out of London. But if I lived in London, I would not be living good. So we need to be real about what is going on in the world as well. And that's just us in the Western world. What about people in places like certain places like in Africa, certain places like in the Caribbean, right? People in the UK that have been homeless during the pandemic. So let's be real when we're having these conversations rather than saying, yeah, we all got the 24 hours, the same 24 hours, because life is just not black and white like that. When I think about myself, right, I was the first person to go to uni in my family. I got a first class degree. You know, my family didn't even know what a first class degree was. You know what I had to do? I went to uni, I lived at home. I done my dissertation sitting on the steps in a council studio, studio apartment, right? With my siblings. And I knew growing up that I didn't want to live that way. And I believe that every generation needs to get better, right? So I'm not sitting here with my victim mentality because I don't have that at all. I'm real. I'm real about real life issues. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to have no food, right? But I'm not going to sit here and say other people that have been through worse than me have a victim mentality because you know what? I know people's been through worse than me. So yeah, we've all got the same 24 hours, but yeah, really, life is not black and white, is it?
So thank you. I think the next person was
It was
Nicole.
Nicole. Is Penelope or Nicole? I've
okay. I'll go after Nicole's fine.
fine.
Thank you, Penelope. I'm just going to give this quick anecdotal evidence and I'm going to have to go. So I'm a teacher and recently I've just started to do supply, just starting the last couple of months. So that means I go into different schools. So I went into a private school in Fulham not too long ago. Those students all have access to laptops, to top of the range mobile phones. The culture embedded in that school is very work based. I could literally give those students an instruction and they go off and do it. So I started to have conversations with a few of those children. All of their parents own some sort of business. Most of them believe that they are going to do a similar business to their parents, if not one of their parents' friends, because they've been able to see what success looks like and then emulate that within the classroom. Conversely, today I was working in an all-boys school in South London. I nearly cried. Literally, I had tears in my eyes. It was so sad. So I'm talking to year 11 students. That means that in a few months, they're going to do their GCSEs. I had to literally beg them to do their work. Going around, they all wanted to talk about different things. There was one boy who looked malnourished, who couldn't keep his eyes open. He couldn't keep his eyes open because he was so tired. He said he didn't get enough sleep. He didn't even have breakfast in the morning. He wasn't set up for success. The work that I gave those students in year 11, year 8 students in that private school could do. The activities. So I was sort of asking them, okay, so what is it that you want to do in the future, these boys today? Most of them had no idea. The ones that did have an idea, one of them said, oh, miss, I'm going to become a barber. I'm going to make a lot of money. I said, okay, so how much money can you make as a barber? He said, £10 a trim.
I said, okay, cool. Let's work that out. Let's do the maths on this. So you want to live as a barber. How many hours, how long does it take to do a trim? He said about an hour. I said, all right, and cool. So how many hours do you think that you're going to work? The average work week, he didn't know. I said, okay, the average work week's 40 hours. So we did that. So that's £400 a week. He said, yeah, that's bare money. I said, okay, cool. So a month now. So what we're going to do each month. So, and then I made him work it out, £1,200. I said, do you think that's a lot of money? He said, yeah, man, that's bare peas. That's bare peas. I said, okay, how much does it cost to rent a 1-bedroom flat in the area that we're in right now? He had no idea. I Googled it for him. He said, wow. He had no idea that £1,200 he couldn't live on. Conversely, these children in private schools are able to calculate their exact steps into success, into their future. There is absolutely no way that you can tell me that we all have a level playing field. There is absolutely no way in those examples, when we look at education and educational outcomes, that we can say that the system in which that we live in is fair. What we have to recognize is that we live in a capitalist society, and with capitalism there will be some people at the top and the majority at the bottom, and it just so happens that people who look like us in this room are at the bottom of that playing field consistently. And those boys who I was talking to today, some of them said to me they want to be footballers. I said, okay, cool, what team do you play for? At 16 you are playing for your school team and then you think you're going to be Ronaldo. I said, all right, did any of you have an agent? No, they didn't even know what an agent was, and they believe that they're going to become footballers. And you are telling me that we all have the same 24 hours in the day. It makes absolutely no sense to me, because actually what you were not recognizing here is that access to information and education is not standard, and we have functions within our society that almost leads us directly into the paths in which that we have in life, right?
I won't do, Nick, I won't do much interrupt. Can I just ask you one question for you to consider
Go on.
as you're rounding up? So, is there anything at all that anybody can take away from what Molly-Mae said in terms of what you do with your own time and resources? So maybe you don't reach the
Okay, so here's
heights
what
that
I'm going
she
to say,
does,
right? If
and maybe you're
you manage...
one second, let me finish the question. Maybe you're stymied by educational deficits and money and etc. Is there anything you can take away? And I'm just asking that question sort of broadly because I think people might want to know. But go on, Nicole.
The thing about it is, though, UK, if you don't have the access to information to start with, what are you doing? It doesn't matter how hard you work, you're going to be working around in circles. So I'm not saying that hard work doesn't pay. It's important to work hard, but you have to recognize that you have to have a direction to work in to start with. You have to have an understanding of how to work and where to work in order to get that far. Because this boy thinks that he's going to become a millionaire from being a barber.
UK, can I go next? Or is there a
One
queue?
second,
I've been waiting.
1 second, it's
Wait.
Can I go next
Penelope.
as
Pepper
well?
J, Pepper J. Sorry, Pepper
Yeah,
J.
it's okay.
Penelope.
Yeah.
I can't say your name. Sorry, my bad. And then it's going to back to popcorn. Go on, Penelope.
Yeah, so what I
And
want to
sorry,
say is that
and everybody. So 1 second, but just before you go, if anybody's got any questions about the room, or if they want to say something but they can't come on stage at the moment, just send it in the Discord. I don't look at DMs on Clubhouse anymore; they're too slow. And the hashtag for Twitter is, as you can see at the top, Molly-Mae CH. I should just reiterate, this room's not on any sort of attack from my perspective as a moderator against Molly-Mae. It's literally just unpacking what she said, because fortunately or unfortunately, this is what some people think. So it's just a discussion we're having. Go on, Penelope.
Yeah, so what I wanted to say is that I hear Nicole, I hear Vinna, I hear Martha, like what you guys saying makes sense. But at the end of the day, she's not lying. We all do have 24 hours, whether you do live in poverty or you grew up in a wealthy home. We all do have 24 hours. I think what we have like in the 21st century is people enjoy laziness. They just want things to be handed to them. And like oh, I even forgot my point. So basically, you want things handed to you, and at the end of the day, if you want something, you will go for it. I think what you guys are not taking from what she's saying is that hard work. Because someone said that hard work doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. There's no way that you're gonna work so hard and it won't happen. But your thing is you impatient. You don't have the patience to wait. Maybe you have to work hard for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. But if you keep putting that hard work, it will happen. I don't think that's possible that it won't happen. Just that most people are impatient. And Nicole said something about like resources and all that. If you want these resources you can get them. McDonald's has free Wi-Fi. Most of those kids do have phones. They have some type of technology. They can go to McDonald's, sit outside McDonald's, and work on it. I'm not saying. Obviously, for people like her, she grew up with parents with money, grew up with these things, so it's easier. But at the end of the day, she didn't say that it's going to take as long as it took me for you. She didn't say anything like that. All she said is that we have the same 24 hours. I don't know how people took offense to that, because when I heard that, I was actually motivated. She's right. If I have something on it, if I have something I want to do, she worked hard in the same 24 hours, and I have 24 hours. Wake up in the morning, get my shit done, the same way that she does. And people have this thing that they think rich people don't work. These Instagram models work, they have to wake up, sometimes have 10 photo shoots in a day. They can't eat, they can't do these things just to make their money. So their life is not as easy either. So I think what people just want to enjoy they want to enjoy to live in their laziness and just want to make excuses. If you want something, go strive for it. The girl did not say there was nothing wrong with what she said. You just see the insecurities. What I think is that people see they're insecure from what she said, because they don't you
Penelope.
don't believe, maybe you don't
Can I go
believe in
next,
yourself.
please?
Preach.
Wait, let me finish.
Facts, facts,
Penelope.
Wait,
facts.
let her finish. Let her
Preach.
finish.
I'm
Vina,
not even trying to be rude.
okay, I don't want to lose control of the stage. So listen, just let Penelope land.
I
Obviously,
need to
Please,
respond.
can I ask
she's giving her
No,
opinion.
I don't
What,
want
what
anyone
I'm
to
gonna
take
do,
offense.
Can I go
what I'm gonna
next,
do, I'm
please?
allowed two. Yeah, I'm allowed two
Yeah, I
responses.
need
One
to
of them is going
go.
to be 1 second. 1 second.
please?
Just hear me out 1 second. I'm going to allow two responses. One of them is going to be from Vina, but not yet Vina, because Penelope's
I
not
just want to
finished
ask you a
yet.
question.
Who's
I
who else?
literally
Who
just
else
want
Can
to
I
wants
ask
to
you a
please go
respond?
Lydia.
question.
next, please?
I want to
Okay,
respond as well.
sorry. 1 second.
Uh,
No, stop, everybody. So
UK,
it's going
put
to
me in
be
the queue, please.
yeah, fine. Yeah, Kofi, you're next.
Harry,
Actually, it's going to
Can
be
I also
pre.
speak as
Harry,
It's
well,
going to be
please?
yeah. That's fine.
I've
That's fine.
been
That's fine.
waiting a
It's going to be
long
pre dot.
time.
No, that's cool. Now I will let you go. But it's going to be pre dot and Vina, not in that same order to respond. But Penelope finished. Who said that they've been waiting a long time? Who said that?
Yeah, I have as well, please.
So
Lydia,
who's
Lydia,
I?
I've been saying that.
So it'll be Lydia
Jesse.
then Jesse after Kofi. Lydia and Jesse after Kofi. Go
And
for
then
it. Finish
can you add
Penelope.
me, and then Yika, can you add me to the end, because I want to respond
I
to
will
the
do. I
victim
will do,
mentality.
Courtney.
Thank
I
you.
will do. Okay, so Penelope, are you still
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Finish off. It's going to be
So
Vina. Then
I'm not even trying to
yeah.
troll. This is my honest opinion, and if you
You're
take
not
offense,
trolling. I
I
think you've
apologize. But I'm
presented
just
a
trying to say what I
balanced
think.
argument. But go on.
Yeah. So I just feel like most people, they're insecure at the fact that they're too lazy to work hard, and it's frustrating to hear someone tell them that, listen, the only reason why you haven't made it is because you're lazy, and now they want to come at her for what she said. The girl said we all have 24 hours, which we do. Someone who lives in poverty, someone who doesn't, we all have 24 hours. Maybe it'll just take you harder, take you longer, and maybe you'll just have to work harder, but at the end of the day, we do have the 24 hours. It's how you utilize your 24 hours. Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay,
I lost
Vina.
my speech, but
Vina.
yeah.
Then the other lady. I think it was
Me, pre-dot.
pre-dot.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
Mina speaking. I can only speak for myself. I've run a digital marketing agency for 10 years. I employ people. Like I said, I can only speak for myself. There's not one bone in me that's lazy. I've been working since 16. I'm not even upset with Molly-Mae, but I have a broad understanding that life is not the same for everyone. And I have empathy because depending on where you're born and who your parents is as well, sets up the start of your life. We have to have the real conversation that the level that we're all born on is not the same. It's okay to have these conversations. That doesn't mean we're jealous. It doesn't mean that we're lazy. It just means that we have an understanding and we're being real about real life, you know? Yes, some people might have taken offense. Yes, some people might be lazy. I'm not one of them who's offended or who's lazy. I don't get offended easily anyway. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm just about my business most of the time. But we have to be real and honest. I don't want to butcher your name, so I'm not going to say your name. We have to be real,
Penelope.
Penelope. We have to be real and honest that, yeah, there might be people that are lazy. There might be people that are jealous. But there's also people like me that are real and can see and have empathy for other people. Not saying they're all victims, because some people are victims and some people are not. But life is not black and white, even though we do have the same 24 hours. What's wrong with saying that?
Yeah, but
Hi, I
but
just want to
Tina,
hold on. I just wanted to ask a question,
Okay, it's
please.
pre-dot. It's
Sorry,
pre-dot. It's pre-dot.
I just want
Pre-dot,
to
ask your
ask a
question. Then I'm
question.
gonna let Penelope respond briefly,
All
and
right,
then we'll move
cool.
on to
Everyone is
Kofi.
saying that Molly-Mae worked hard because the
Oh,
topic
sorry,
is about
pre-dot.
Molly-Mae.
No DMs, please. I don't look at DMs on Clubhouse anymore. Please send any DMs to the server, to the Discord server. Thank you.
Everyone's saying that Molly-Mae, she's worked her ass off, etc., etc. But I'm gonna ask you this creative director opportunity that she's gotten with PLT, what qualifications did she gain to work hard to land that role?
For me,
that doesn't take away
That's for
from the fact that
Penelope. That's for Penelope.
that doesn't take away from the fact that she's working hard. Like whether she had to go on Love Island, do all that stuff that she did, doesn't take away from the fact that she's still working hard. Even up to today, she still does. She's not sleeping in her house to get that money. She has to wake up in the morning, go to the office, do what she has to do every single day. I don't know what you guys are saying.
Penelope,
can I?
if your definition of working hard is going to work 9 to 5 or whatever time you wake up, then everybody in this world that has a job is
They
working
are.
hard.
No
But
one's
everyone
saying that
doesn't
they're
have
not.
no. But then hold on, everyone is not
Penelope,
getting
just
this.
let her finish.
Everyone's not
Then I'm
getting
gonna
the
go on
same
to it's
equal
Kofi next.
opportunity. I'm gonna stop after this. Not everyone else is getting the same opportunity that Molly-Mae is getting. I'm not gonna lie to you. Her race is in her favor. The fact that her influencing in terms of the fashion business, whatever she's doing, it's in her favor. The fact that she's set up by wealthy parents, it is in her favor. Certain situations that Molly-Mae has been in, you and I will never be presented with it. If we're going to minimize life to motivation as the reason why some people work hard and what don't work hard, then we're very clueless.
Mm-hmm. Can I?
I've never wait. I haven't denied the fact that she has privilege or whatever, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we both have 24 hours to work what we have to work with. Like I want to ask you a question, pre-dot. You plan on making enough money for your kids, send them to private school, do all of that stuff. Wouldn't you want to make it easier for their life as well? So we can't just sit down here and act like if we were privileged or if we didn't grow up in privilege, we wouldn't take that privilege because we would. And either way, you still have those 24 hours. You just have to work harder. That's all she's talking about, hard work. You just have
But
to
that
work
doesn't
harder than
deny
the
that
person
people don't have
underprivileged.
the same
Doesn't change
privilege.
anything. Just
Okay,
say you just want to work
everybody
that
stop
hard.
now. Everybody stop now. I'm gonna go to Kofi. Go on, Kofi.
No, it's Lydia, because Lydia was going to be after me.
All right, Lydia, then Kofi. Fine. Lydia, I'm sure Kofi can wait for a minute or two.
Yes, please.
Go on, Lydia, then
Yeah,
Kofi. Go on,
yeah.
Lydia.
Thanks, Courtney. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've heard what everyone had to say, and I've heard what Molly-Mae's had to say as well. And to be honest, like, I don't think she was trying to stay away from other people saying that we don't all have equal opportunities, or and we all can see that obviously she's a privileged white woman. But at the end of the day, if we take everything she said word for word, what she said wasn't wrong. We do have 24 hours in a day. Like, everything in this life comes from time. We all, even us human beings, come from time. We were in our mother's womb for 9 months before we came into the world. People that have made products, it took time to make those products. So I just think it's just how we take the message. Like, if there's something that you want to do, if you have a desire, if you have a dream, if you put enough hours in a day into that dream, enough days in that month, enough years into what you want to do, eventually, it will happen. Like, I feel like we need to be, have more of a positive mindset. It's a bit like rich dad, poor dad. Like, you have to think, you have to believe that what you want to do will happen, no matter how bad your circumstances are. There will be problems, but then you have to be able to see the solutions to your problems, no matter how poor you are, no matter where you are born. If you do put that time in, it will happen for you. Like, obviously most of us in here, we are Black people. It will be harder for us, but it will happen eventually. And I think we have to we just have to just take what she said. We have to hear what she said, but imagine it came from another person, because I think we're distracted by the fact that she's a young white woman. And like Molly-Mae, yeah, she did work hard, to be honest, because when she started, before she got on Love Island, I think she lives somewhere near in Hertfordshire, in the middle of nowhere. She had to get her parents to drive her to like a city just to take pictures for Instagram. Like, it's not that. It's true. What he's
Just working hard.
Laughing at that.
I know, but it's not just about working hard. It's about working smart. It's about being
That
strategic.
part.
Then
She's
let's say
very
that. Then let's
strategic.
say work smart, not work hard. Because I agree with Molly-Mae.
Because yeah,
Work smart,
you
not
have
work
to,
It's
hard.
both.
yeah, you have to be
Let
smart. You
let
have to
Lydia let Lydia land
strategize.
the plane, please.
You
Thank
have
you.
to look okay, well, okay, this is the time that I have now. Oh, how can I, get above, like how can I get, get to where I want to get to? How can I get there quickly? And especially with social media, there's so much that we can do now. So, and like, yeah, it sounds funny, but that's literally how she started before she got on Love Island. And when she was on Love Island, people were laughing at her when she was saying she's a content creator, like, oh, what's that? But now she set a blueprint for other people on Love Island. I don't see everybody on Love Island getting the kind of opportunities she's getting. Like she's actually, doing her business ideas and like setting the blueprint for other people. So I think, like there is information out there, and if you don't have access, you can look for the access to get that information. I think we're in 2022. I mean, we have so much access to knowledge and information now, and we just have to, like, let's not say, like, fair enough, I agree, like we don't have the same opportunities as more privileged people, but let's not say that that's the factor of our lives. Like, that's not the be all and end all. Like, we need to be the difference. That's what I have to say.
Okay, I allowed two responses. So one's from King Yoruba, and who's the next one going to be for? And then I'm going to go
Can
to
I
Kofi.
have a response, please?
Yeah, Jesse. Yeah. So King Yoruba and then Jesse. Go on.
Okay, my understanding of the statement, we all have the same 24 hours. To me, it doesn't equate to we're all on the same level playing field. Like, we're all on the same level. We all have the same opportunities. I think that's the misconception that a lot of people in this room are having. So I just want to make that clear. I don't think she's saying that we all have the same
She's not saying
opportunities.
that.
She isn't saying that
She
at all.
said
Or well, I don't. Well, okay. I feel like people like to look into things literally, into what people say, rather than use their common
oh,
sense and look at what
common
she's
sense
actually
isn't
trying.
common.
Yeah, and look at what she's actually trying to say. Um, what she's saying is, you know what? If you really want something, you can work hard and achieve it. If you don't believe that, then that's you. But I believe that, and I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve. So I'm not going to mute.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay. It is Jesse to respond, and then it's then Kofi. So there's like two responses. Quick 30 seconds.
Can I go after
Yeah,
Kofi,
thank
please?
you.
Go on, Jesse.
Yeah,
I think that was Harry. I recall that it's going to be Kofi. Go on, Jesse.
thank you. Yeah. So I agree with Penelope and Lydia. I probably wouldn't go as far as saying that it's laziness, to be honest. But like, I think what Molly was trying to say is not, I don't agree with her 24-hour BS that she was saying. I just don't think that's true, because we don't all have, we have the same 24 hours, like mathematically, but we don't have the same things happen to us in those 24 hours. So you can't say we all have the same 24 hours. But I do think it's what you do with the 24 hours that you're given. So, I mean, when I say what you do, I know we all work hard. And personally, I've come from a family that's not rich at all. I know what homelessness is like as well, but I'm proud of what I've become now because of what I was taught. My whole life, I was taught that we live in a capitalist society. I'm a Black woman. I'm going to have to work twice as hard. And unfortunately, those are the cards that I have been dealt with. And I'm going to have to just work with what I've been dealt with. We all get dealt different cards in life. And I feel like you have to know what you can do with the cards that you've been dealt with. We can't cry about it. We know what the world is like, and it's not a nice place, and we can't expect it to be a nice place, basically. So we have to just work with whatever cards we've been dealt with. I don't agree that we have the same 24 hours, but you have to work with what you have. And that's pretty much it, really. So I agree with what Penelope is saying. I just don't think I would go as far as saying that people are lazy, because that's not true either. But yeah.
Can I respond to her quickly? Yeah,
Yep.
and also, sorry, just to respond. I heard somebody say something about race, about white lady, whatever. You will never be a white lady. If you're a Black lady, you'll never be white. Just if you crying every single day, she's white, it won't fix your problems. So rather find ways to fix your own problem than sit down saying white lady, because you'll never be white. It's not gonna happen.
You're preaching today, Penelope. I love it. I probably go a step further. I actually feel a little bit sorry for Molly-Mae, because I feel like it's just been. Yeah, go on. I feel like she's just been taken out of context. I think it was meant for motivational purposes. Because she stated apparently she stated, you know, she understands people have different backgrounds and they come from different places. And I wouldn't even expect a girl from her background to understand less privileged backgrounds. I think she can only speak to what she's experienced, and she's still young. So then even then when I look at the age thing, I'm probably looking at like she's reached success at an early age. She's worked smart as well as hard, because to get the opportunity she's got, yes, it helps all the privilege she's got, but you have to, I don't know how many people have been in Love Island, but I don't know how many have got that opportunity that she's got. But I'm also thinking the people around her are probably expecting handouts. Do you know what I mean? Because she's at a certain age and she's at a certain space. They might be a bit like, oh, you can do this for me. There's a little bit of jealousy and envy. So she might have been speaking to them more so than the whole world. But I don't know why. I mean, you do have 24 hours to work towards whatever you want if you want it. It's your choice if you work towards it or make an excuse as to why you can't have it. Both things can be true at the same time. But I do feel actually a bit sorry for her, because I think the intention is to understand, and understanding it was said for motivational purposes. You know, I think someone said in the room, Jay-Z said the same thing, and there was no problem with Jay-Z saying it, even though his come up was selling drugs to his own community and killing them. But, you know, he's a billionaire now, so it's all right. And someone also said she never said this while she was coming up, but I don't think people are listened to until they make it. I don't think people really care what you have to say until you have money to back your opinion. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think Penelope hit the point on the head. Bang on. I don't. I can't understand the anger. I really feel for the girl.
Can I add something, okay?
Yeah, go for it, and then we're gonna go. I can't remember who was after Kofi.
Yeah.
Me.
So
Harry. Then yeah. So go
It
on,
was
Martha.
Harry.
Yeah. So is yours a reply, Martha?
yeah.
Okay, fine. Go do your reply, and then Harry, and we'll continue.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
yeah. So see, I think there's a conflation of issues here, and I don't know how many. I mean, there's a motivation in let's work hard, strive, do what it is that you want to be doing, and belief is really important. There's that emotional patient thing behind that. I think it's also important to note that probably the majority of us in here, whether we've come from a difficulty or made our way up, we are still even now talking from a place of privilege and understand where that comes from, right? So I'm your typical story, but I'm definitely very much now, my position and everything I do, it comes from a place of privilege. That's where I talk from. And so I have to be aware that even though I may have come from that, I'm not in that anymore. And the fact of my mindset and where I am is very different from where things were before. And so I think whilst there is the side that talks about let's, do it, work hard, the reality of it is if it was that simple, then the majority of the world wouldn't be in poverty. If the real reason that people had a pushback on this is because the majority of us are lazy, then half the things that are currently happening in the world wouldn't be going on. It really isn't that simple. And that's the issue with this rhetoric. It's not that we shouldn't believe in ourselves, and it's not even that we should even, like someone else said, I think it was Dina that said that, success is different things to different groups of people, right? And we should all try to get to our levels of success where we want to be. But the reality of it is, which you've alluded to, as certain parts of us are going to have to work harder. She said work hard, not that certain parts of us are going to have to work harder. So let's not make it seem like, oh, we're not, because we've been working hard. But if I'm starting at -10 and you are starting at 10 and we are both working hard, I have to work triple maybe the amount you need to do in order to get somewhere. So it's not as simple as we have the same 24 hours. Numerically, we have the same 24 hours. This is not an excuse, right? This is the thing that it actually hurts me and upsets me because it's not because we are lazy the reason why we haven't made it somewhere. And to sit here and say, oh, it's just gonna take you longer and you're too lazy, that's an absolute lie. There are plenty of people who we know are working extremely hard, and guess what? They're never going to make it. Because working hard is not the way.
About 10 seconds, Martha. I just want to regulate a little bit, but go on, finish it off if you
But that
can,
work
Martha.
hard thing is not true. It's actually about working smart. And if you talk to people, networking, getting into places, knowing who you know, getting through things is actually the link more so to. Let's not talk about the extreme people, right? Because before we even get into the celebrities, we forget them because they are really few and far between. Let's just talk about a genuine level of income that people kind of get to, because even £50,000 in the UK is a figure that very few people can try to get to. Just even that. So before we even get to the point of the ridiculous amount of work that you need to put in to get to where those people are successful, that's very true. But the reality of it is people who come from privilege don't even necessarily get to that, let alone people who come from something below. So the pushback has got nothing to, it's a really dangerous place, yeah. If we ourselves were saying there are issues in our society, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't push forward, but that also doesn't mean that we should accept the issues that are in this society. It isn't fair. So just because it's I have to work harder and I'm going to work harder and I've worked double to get to exactly where I am, that doesn't mean I shouldn't say it's unfair and we shouldn't make that be a rule. And so those two things can be the same. She may want it to be motivational, but the reality of it is it's very dangerous to simply say we've got the same 24 hours, because what we can do, and the people that say, oh, if you've got the information, who was it? Nicole alluded to the fact of everyone here is saying that because we ourselves are educated or have access to something. So we are maybe even coming from a point of view where we don't understand what that looks like for somebody who doesn't have access to that. It's very easy for us to say, if you don't have the information, go and get it. But if you don't even know that you can go and get that information in the very first instance, how are you supposed to go and do that? Like, let's be really real here.
UK, can I respond?
Huge segment of
Just before you go,
Can I respond as well,
yeah,
please?
everybody
Yeah,
just go on mute.
I would like to respond
Fine.
as well.
Okay, what I'm going to do is everybody just go on mute for 1 second. I just wanted to throw something in there. So I've watched some of it. I'll be honest, I haven't watched the entire thing, but I did hear her also say that she looked up to people like Patricia Bright. I'm not sure whether that makes any difference to the context of the overall conversation. But anyway, so who are the people who wanted to respond?
Me.
Yeah, me as well,
I'm
please.
going to go
Harry,
first.
me,
I'm going to go first.
Penelope,
Oh.
Jessie,
Fine,
Vina,
fine.
Gabby, and Sim.
Okay,
Oh
fine.
no,
Yeah, I'm
I
going to
don't
go
want to
first.
speak.
I'm going to go first to Harry, and then
Let me go after Harry.
who said they haven't spoken yet?
I
I haven't. Sorry,
Gabby.
it's Vina. I just want to say, can we
Vina,
also hear from other people who haven't spoken as well, please?
I will do.
Thanks.
What
Yeah,
I'm
let me
going
go
to do
after
is
Harry.
I'm going to go to Harry, and then I'm just going to jump to the couple of people at the bottom of the stage. To be honest with you, I've seen Elaine's
Can
come
I
in.
just
And
respond to
thanks for
more
coming
of
in.
that,
Sim,
And
please?
also
Ed.
Ed as well. So I'm gonna take a bit of an executive decision here. So I'm gonna go to Harry, and then I'll go to Courtney one more time, and then I'm gonna jump back down to the bottom of the stage. Okay. So go on Harry, and then it'll be Courtney, and then I'm gonna jump to the bottom of the stage.
Okay, thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So it's well known that society is not designed to give everyone an equal opportunity. That's not disputed. Okay. And we all know that opportunities are influenced by situational, circumstantial, or motivational factors. And in her interview, what she's talking about is motivation. That's it. So as I said before, I can't understand why this has become so contentious. Just to give you an example, 7 years ago, I was very, very successful, very, very successful. And I got sick to the point whereby I had damage to my prefrontal cortex. So I had brain damage. And the doctor said to me, oh, you'll never work again. You'll never be able to do anything. But instead, what I did was I got myself a degree, a master's degree, and I'm now building my business. Only because I chose not to become the person which they said I would be, but instead the person which I wanted to become. That's it. I was motivated to do that. That's why I agree and understand what she's saying.
Okay, so just quickly, another thing as well. I'm
Well
just
done,
looking at.
Harry. That's
Yep.
inspirational.
Yeah, so thank you for reminding me to that. Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
that is definitely, obviously, and brain damage is quite a serious thing. So some people don't even make it. So respect to you, man. I just want to continue. So I'm not looking at DMs on here. So if you got any messages for me, do send them in the Discord. I'm gonna jump to Courtney, and then I'm gonna go to the bottom of the stage. Courtney, what did you have to say? If you could just talk about
My
30
one was just quick
seconds
because
to a minute, thanks.
this comment was made earlier about the victim mentality. I just think it's very ludicrous that people want to be throwing out these phases, but at the end of the day, if it wasn't for people's decisions and the type of cards that they got dealt with and the type of, I don't know, the status that they're in or the race or the type of job, not everyone has this equal opportunity. Like, we have many things that are that affect us if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're a certain age, if you're a certain race. So this is what I'm saying, like, opportunities are restricted by whatever or whoever you are. And I just think it's really ludicrous when people want to be talking about victim mentality. But why are we all not making six figures? Why are we all not here projecting our motivational speech? Why are we not here helping all these young people? Because we don't have the opportunity to do so. We have to put in this work in order to make a change. But certain people have either fucked up from the very beginning of their life, or are fucked up in the middle, or are fucked up at the later stage of their life, or something devastating has happened, which has restricted people from succeeding to the high potential. And this is why I'm saying like someone said earlier, success is very subjective. Some people see themselves as being a multimillionaire is a success, but for some people that are average, this is why I'm saying, as an average person who can maintain a job, who's got great credit, who is a house owner, who owns their car, even that should be promoted and people should get credit for those bare minimums because this is the majority of people. People always look at the larger things and look at these minorities and look at all these people that are rich. But at the end of the day, not all of us can be rich. And unfortunately, that is a card that half of us got dealt with, and there are going to be restrictions that you're going to have to face and you're going to have to accept. But applaud yourself for not being a bum, for not being homeless, for not being I don't know, not I don't know how you fucking put it,
Not,
guys. But
not being
like
affected by life's afflictions. Is that what you're trying to
exactly.
say?
So I just feel like
Yeah.
we always want to give these major celebrities this gratitude and applaud them. But what about people around you? You've probably got people who are business owners who have got great credit, who have got like multiple businesses and own their shit. Like I just feel like we are so fixated on these multimillionaire people who were given this golden lottery ticket and now they have audacity to now want to be preachers and motivational speakers. Like I just find it highly ironic because you're speaking to the minority of people who do not get that golden ticket, who do not get that gratification. But what we can do is stop supporting and gaslighting these celebrities and support our own people who are doing the most because we as laborers work the most. We work more than what we get paid to do. So I feel like the gratification needs to come from us and we need to support other people besides having a goddamn conversation about Molly-Mae, who was given a golden ticket and now she's a multimillionaire creative director to PLT. Come on, man. And who buys PLT? The commoners. So let's not even go there.
Okay, so everybody just pause for a second. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to allow, I'm going to go to Elaine, and then it'll be Ed. But before I do that, I just want to thank the people who have been tweeting. So I'm going to go to the tweets first of all. Just going through it. Somebody said, laugh, laziness. Black Tories are fascinated. Some people are clueless. Do you know how many people chase dreams and end up homeless? Ah, yes, rich dad, poor dad, merchants. People are chasing. I don't want to keep saying the same person speaks, but anyway, I don't think half the people on stage defending her listened to the whole episode or looked up anything else that was said. I've said just to say my room's not meant there's any sort of negativity on Molly-Mae, but it's meant to analyse what it means to be successful and different approaches to it. What she said rather than her. And I'm not going to read that last one. And then just go into the Discord. There's been a number of comments, so thank you for people who've joined. You can click the Discord to join, but I'll just go through it quickly. She's implying that anyone who isn't in her position isn't utilising the 24 hours, which just isn't the case. If people put as much energy and focus, this is another person, put as much energy into focusing on the takeaways rather than what they can get emotion about, we would move forward. Based on the words used, your outcome is subjective based on what you feel inside. We also have to take a previous, so this is the other person, we also have to take a previous statements she's made regarding this as well. And I'll just move on this to see if there's any other people who've commented. I've asked the question, what's the best practice in motivating? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Elaine, if she's got any views on the matter, and then I'm going to Ed, and I might go to Zav or Sim. Go ahead, Elaine, if you're there. Thanks.
Thank you, UK. I just walked in on this conversation and I did see this earlier, and it's funny, I was speaking to a client and I referenced this statement. I don't want to talk too much on it because I'm just going into bed because I've got an early start tomorrow. However, just the lady that just spoke and said that she was given a golden ticket. Yes and no, because a lot of people have been on that show and still haven't really done anything with it. She saw it as an opportunity and she used it. And I think some of the challenges that we have is that very often we don't know how to, and I think Martha said this earlier, we don't know how to work smart and use opportunities that are placed in front of us that don't necessarily look like multi-million deals. But if we work the opportunity, they do become multi-million deals. Because, I think that a lot of times, I don't agree with her. We all have the same 24 hours comment. That I don't agree with because everybody's experience in that 24 hours is different. And what you come out with is how you're able to navigate. For example, I do very well in what I do, but life affected me a lot last year, and my output was basically zero because I lost 5 family members in a space of 3 months, and it was just very hard. And that's what life will
Sorry
do
to
to
hear that,
you.
Elaine.
But thank you. But the difference between somebody who's going to allow what's happened to them to keep them in that position is that there is no growth. And for me, out of that adversity, I use that adversity to grow in it and to move further. So I'm much more productive now, even more so than I was before life hit. So I think that what we have to learn to do is learn to work smart with the opportunities that are given to us, because you can have great credit and you can get your house and you can get your car. But if you're not smart with, okay, you've got your house, what are you doing with that one house to turn it into 10 other houses? Do you see what I mean? So I think it's just about a mindset that needs to change. But I don't agree with her statement. We all have the same 24 hours. That I have a problem with. But I think we also have to look at the opportunities that are presented to us. Is that okay? I'm going to listen some
Thank you,
more.
Elaine, and thanks for your contribution as well,
Can
Elaine.
I
And
respond?
sorry, 1 second. What I'm going to do, actually, I'm not going to take any responses just now. I'm just going to go to the other people. I just want to say, first of all, obviously, thank you for sharing your story with us, Elaine. I'm sorry that you lost your family members. I don't like to brush past people's personal experiences like that. And I'm going to go. I'm not taking any responses now. If people just maybe keep a note or even pop it in the Discord, and I will say or give people the opportunity. Then I want to go to Ed, then Zav. Go on, Ed.
Is it alright if I go
Hi
after?
there.
Yeah. If you can go after Zav Sim, go on, Ed, and then I'll do responses after the three of you. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers. Listen, I grew up a Catholic in Northern Ireland during the height of the Troubles. And as a Catholic, you weren't allowed to join the police force. You weren't allowed to be in senior positions in the civil service. You didn't get loans at the bank to start your own business. You didn't make manager or any supervisory roles. You couldn't even work in the shipyards, the major manufacturing pieces. So the whole infrastructure that surrounded my family, my extended family as Catholics in a predominantly Protestant state, meant that no matter how hard we grafted, my dad was a baker, my mum was a social worker. In fact, she was a social worker in a community that would have hated her if they knew that she was actually a Catholic looking after them, ironically. So the whole environment in which we lived, also against the backdrop of the fact that we would be murdered for it, so we'd be shot, just massively discriminated against and wiped out because of the discrimination against us from a religious perspective, meant that there are no amount of hours in the day that would have allowed me or any of my extended family to have made it, in inverted commas, from a career success money perspective. And I've been listening to the room, and there's some truths on both sides of the argument, isn't there? So do we all agree there's 24 hours in a day? Yeah. Do we all agree that if you graft, you are typically going to be more successful than if you don't graft? And so Molly-Mae, I don't really give a shit about Molly-Mae, to be honest. But what she's raised is a specific question that speaks to a systemic problem when we look at privileged versus underrepresented or marginalized communities, which is, she was speaking motivationally. However, she was saying it in the context of, look, I'm on a board, I've done it, we've all got the same chances. And the reality is that there are so many people from disadvantaged backgrounds, underrepresented, marginalized backgrounds, that could never do it in 24 hours. Even if there was more hours in the day, they could just never do it. And so she's speaking. I think what's jarred people is not her. Look, she's an influencer, crack on, make money on social media, fair play to you. But she's speaking, or when she spoke, it spoke to a broader injustice. And I think we have to be really careful with language. So when we say, actually, if you've got a problem with that, you're just lazy, what happens is we're then punching down into our own marginalized or disadvantaged communities when we do that, as opposed to focusing staying together and punching up into what is institutional or systemic discrimination that prohibits people from underrepresented or marginalized communities from having equitable access to opportunity. And I think that's the key point, is equitable access to opportunity. So that's my read on it.
Well,
Yeah, I'm
Can
keeping
I
it
Yes,
running.
respond,
Ed.
please?
Yes.
Exactly. Hit nail on the head.
Is it possible? Can I respond?
Great. I'm not doing any responses yet, so I'm keeping a running note of some. So I'm just literally going to type equitable access to opportunity. I'm literally typing that because I'm going to do a sum up at the end, which will include some of these points. I'm going to let people do some responses after the next two people go, if that's okay. I just wanted to just balance up the stage a bit. So I'm going to go with. Sorry, Sim, you still here? She gone? Okay, never mind. It's Zav. If Sim comes back, I'll add her as well. But Zav, go ahead, and then we'll do responses. Thanks.
Cheers, UK. Love what the gentleman before just said and made it very simple. Forget about Molly for a second. There are 24 hours in a day, full stop. We all have the same 24 hours. She's correct. How we choose to use it, however, depends on what we get from it. I worked a system that worked against me and worked hard, and I got nothing or got very little. So I decided to circumnavigate a system and decided to work smart instead. The system doesn't favor me, right? And it suppresses people like me, yeah? Being a black man from, not from money or from opportunity or from great education, but I decided to work my way around the system. So if I play with the system and I play the system's rule, then I'm going to fail based on what this system decides that I can and can't do. Those people who say hard work breeds success, hard work pays off, I can take you to 1,000,001 graveyards and show you more people that worked hard and didn't make it than people who worked hard and made it. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Hard work does not guarantee you success, full stop. Hard work does not guarantee you success. So if you can understand that working smart and navigating the system in a way that works for you, then you'll win. I'll give you my own experience. I've always wanted to do psychiatry, or I wanted to be a psychologist, but I didn't like the way that these people thought. I didn't like the way they teach. I don't like the way our therapists do what they do, because I believe that they turn people from addicts to whatever that situation is to addicted to them. So I decided to become a coach. I didn't go and take a life coaching course because I believe that life coaching, all I need to do is to have a life and to be able to have learnt the lessons and paid attention. So what I did, I started at my life coaching situation, which is my name, XTLC, Xavier, the life coach. 3.5 years later, I make more money than I've ever made before, right? From my life coaching, I've had other businesses which has allowed me to make 6 figures a year, right? I don't struggle. Let's hear this when I say this. I don't work hard. I don't work hard. And I refuse to work hard because working hard doesn't favor me. I sleep 8 hours a day. I'm a black man who came from no privilege, but decided that there was no excuses for me to make. And if I didn't have an excuse, I just found a way. So I find a way. And people levitate towards me and they feed into my dreams and to my desires. I now work, here it is, 4 hours a day, sometimes 5. And I make more money than I've ever made before. I have businesses now, right, that also give me passive incomes. Also, I delve into crypto. Crypto is one of the easiest ways, right, in mankind, in history, to make real money. It's retarded how much money I can make from crypto in moments. But then if you choose not to,
I'm sorry, Zav. I'm just sorry. I don't mean to do that.
I'm done now. I'm done.
No, it's not that. I just have to apologise for the retarded thing because that's But anyway,
all right.
Zav,
Okay. My bad.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Anyway,
Anyway,
finish what you're saying though. You're dropping gems, bro. You're dropping gems.
I'm absolutely finishing on this, right? And I'm sorry about that retarded statement, but my point is this: there are people who actually stop playing it with the system. You can't do what Molly-Mae does. Beg. She's privileged. Don't try and be like her. Don't try and sit in there and say, oh, well, it's all right for her. It is all right for her because we know the obvious. So see what's all right for you and then work with what works for you. There's young black males that look at me and are inspired by me because they recognize me, they hear me, they see me, they smell me. right? They're not going to be inspired by Molly-Mae. Molly-Mae is like, all right, cool, but she's got a point. So how do we work your angle? Because when I was doing music back in the day, we was doing garage music. The industry didn't know what that was, but we, the people on the road, made it what it is. And then they started to buy into us because they didn't understand it. We had to create that. So create your thing. Stop looking for other people's lane. Create your own lane. I'm done there. Thank you, UK man. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
thanks, Zav.
Facts,
It's
facts, facts.
Sim, and then we'll do some replies. Go on, Sim.
Hey, I've got like three things to say. Harry, amazing story, ultimate comeback kid. I just want to say, I hear what you were saying, and just you said, she said we've got 24 hours in a day. What's the problem? Why is it so big? And I'll tell you why it's blown up. If I say to you, wow, and then if I say to you, wow. There's two different meanings there. The first one is, oh my God, wow, that's impressive. And the second one is, wow, are you really going on like that? And it's not what you say, it's the way you say it. Of course, there's 24 hours in a day. Yeah, we all know that. But the way she said it, it's very, very different. We've all seen the meme that's quite inspirational that says you've got the same 24 hours as Beyonce, and you kind of rub your shoulders a little bit and you go, yeah, come on, I can get this. We all heard Molly-Mae and we all felt dismay. That wasn't meant to rhyme, but it did. We all heard Molly-Mae and we all felt a little bit weirded out by it, to be honest. And the danger of what she said and the way that she said it, in fact, not even what she said, the way that she said it was, I had the second thing, going into my second point, I had a diversity and inclusion training at work. And I'm not making this about diversity because this is if you're poor, if you're diverse, whatever. And we had diversity training and we all stood in a line, white, black, whatever. And he said, right, okay, step forward if you're a man. So 50% of the people step forward. Step forward if you're a white person. So a few people step forward. Step forward, and you get the drift of where I'm going. Okay, now go, he said. We're going to run a race. And the people that stepped forward that were male, white, and at the back of the race was the black males, I think it was that he did. And he said, that's the difference between your start point and having the same 24 hours in a day. So that's why it's incredibly dangerous the way she said what she said, because it implies that we all have the same footing and the same starting point. And my last and final, which I don't think we do. And my last and final point is that unfortunately, I feel like we live in a world where these influences will say something without thinking in this manner. They'll issue a disingenuous apology. They'll justify it to themselves within their circles. You can imagine what, Tommy and her mum and her dad and her mates are telling her, rather than take a harsh look in the mirror at themselves. Then they'll lie low until the PR storm and the public outrage for their outrageous views that they spout die down, and then they'll just creep back into public favour slowly. And you've seen the same thing with El Darby, the racist influencer, recently this week. The thing is,
So Sim, what I
so
want to do, can I just say this? This
I've
is one of the
nearly
points.
finished now. Yeah.
No, Sim. I don't want to go into topics that I don't have the range for. I have not
Oh,
done
that's fine.
done my
I'm
own
just talking
research
about
on.
her as an influencer in
Yeah,
general.
no,
Like,
hey,
so
if you just round it up, but yeah, I
yeah.
just want to just remind everybody that this conversation isn't targeted at Molly-Mae herself. It's just analysing different approaches to success. So it's
No,
not.
it's fine. I
Yeah, but
think
do
it's important.
round it up, Sim.
I
Go on.
think these people put themselves in limelight, so it is important to actually make it about Molly-Mae and these people and name call them, because the thing is, this isn't a soap opera where you can just become a bad person and then over time become a public favourite again. It's real life, and the views that they spout and any kind of sensibility or rationale has consequences. And unfortunately, these, in inverted commas, influencers who do realistically have a huge impact on people and their thoughts and self-worth, as you've heard from many people in this audience, you can't have the accolade and not the rest. The smooth goes with the rough. So, I don't agree with demonizing people who haven't had a struggle, but I do believe in those people educating themselves to the ways of the world and humanity if they choose to live that influencer life. I'm finished.
Thanks for your contribution, Sim. So Jessie has asked to respond in the Discord, and anybody else could just kind of jump in afterwards. Go on, Jessie. Jessie, go ahead. I can't hear you. You might need to leave and come back. I'm not sure what's happened. Can't hear you, Jessie.
I can't hear her.
Jesse, go on. Can you leave the room and come back in then, please, Jesse? That might work. Anybody else wants to any response to, you know, you had Zav, you had I think Elaine, also Ed, and then Sim. Any of the points that they
Hello?
made? Yeah,
We
is
can
that
hear
Jesse?
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
Jesse, go ahead.
sorry about that. So I just wanted to respond to two points. So the firstly from Xavier's point of view, and then Sim. So I couldn't agree more with what Xavier said in the sense that um, even though we might all have the same 24 hours, this we already know the system is rigged against us as people who might not have come from privileged backgrounds. So it's up to us to then navigate this system because we know that it's against us. There's no way to get around it. I mean, people have protested and complained about it for centuries, and nothing has ever changed. And I don't. Maybe I'm a bit of a pessimist, but I don't believe that it will. So to me, it's like you just have to work with what you're given, and you have to navigate the system as it is in order to be successful. And from the other success stories, not talking about Molly-Mae, but in other success stories that we've heard of. So, for example, Jay-Z or 50 Cent, when they came up, they didn't have privilege to help them or to hold them together, but they had to hustle, which is navigate the system in order to get to what they wanted to be. So ultimately you have to kind of not accept, but you have to acknowledge that this is the way the world is, and you have to navigate what the world is like. That's just my from my point of view. And then just to add on to what Sim is saying, that well, because she's an influencer, like she should know. But to be honest, she's 22 years old. I mean, at 22 years old, I'm sure there was a lot of stuff that I said that weren't right. And if I were to look back at it now, I'd say like, what was I thinking? But we can't, and we can't also expect her to know what the struggle is like if she's not come from the struggle. So it's not excusing what she said, but it's trying to be understanding of why she's thinking like this and trying to educate people who think like that about why they shouldn't be thinking like that, basically. So I'm not trying to excuse her, but I'm just trying to say we also as a people have to be a bit more understanding of people who did not come from the struggle and why they think like that, and educating them instead of demonizing
May
them.
I respond?
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
that's what I
go on,
wanted
Sim.
to say.
But Sim, before you go, and I'm not on to you, but whose side? Because I think they wanted to respond as well. Whose side?
Sorry, I just meant
Okay.
respond to what Jesse just said to my.
And I was just wondering, I heard somebody's side, I couldn't see who it was. Mate, I just thought they might want to respond. But go ahead, Sim. Go ahead, Sim.
Yeah, I totally hear you, Jesse. We absolutely shouldn't demonize her, as I said in my point.
It's Queen Net.
I'm not into demonizing people from their lack of privilege, but I don't really think it's anybody else's responsibility but her own to educate herself. At 22 years old, I was perfectly capable of, thinking rationally and, socially consciously, and I knew right from wrong. Yeah, totally. We make different choices when we're younger, and just because you're an influencer, you shouldn't need to take shit or bullying or whatever. However, I do think you do need to be, if you go, the word is influencer. So if you're going to influence people, it can't just be party, party, party all the time, because what if people don't agree with what you're saying, which in this occasion they haven't? And I do think that she does need to realistically, like I said, my main point really was it's not what she said, it's the way she said it. Someone can say the same exact thing. Floyd Mayweather said, "We've all got the same 24, it's motivational." The way she said it, I don't know about you, this is a feeling for me, it didn't feel motivational at all. It felt really condescending, especially because there's people making her garments that she's been cherry picked to be this, that, and the other for slave labour prices in Leicester, in this country, Western civilization, for £3 an hour or whatever it is for PLT. And that to me is an utter disgrace. And I think she knows that. She can't be blind to that.
Okay, I'm just going to say, I don't normally on my room I've got massive disclaimers saying all things said on stage are alleged, and not to take away from the people who are saying things, but if I've not fact checked something myself, I can't say that it's anything but alleged in relation to anything that has been said. So I just want to make that disclaimer. It's just opinions. everything's alleged. I'm going to go to Queen. Go. And just a quick reset. Obviously, I've opened this room. As I said, the underlying purpose is analysing approaches to success. I'm not holding myself as an expert on any of this. I'm literally a bloke on the internet, looking at stuff on the internet and talking about it with people on the internet. So that, you know, don't take anything that I say on board necessarily. If you've not done so already, please follow the moderators for future rooms like this, and also follow the people on stage. There's a reason why I brought the people who are on stage onto the stage. They provide really value on these clubhouse streets and otherwise. And also follow my club, UK Panther Talks. Also, I also do some talks in TM's Gentlemen's Club, so please do follow that and follow TM as well. And apart from that, do also follow me on Twitter. Obviously, the hashtag for this conversation is Molly-Mae CH, and my tag over there is UK Back for Talks. That's my my follow thing on there. I'll be doing some rooms over there as well. And most importantly, at this stage, there's conversations going on in the Discords. I don't use the DMs on Clubhouse anymore. I've got 20 at the moment, but it's because it's a bit too slow going back and forward. Whereas on the Discord, you can look at this, everybody can look at the sources at the same time, and people can make their comments and also request to speak and that sort of thing. So it's a lot more efficient. So the link is up there. So what I'll do now is I'll go to Queen, and I want to say this as well before I go to Queen. Thank you everybody on stage, in the audience, and in the followed by speakers, and also to thank you to the people who will be listening to this in the future. Of course, it's recorded, so to the people who will be listening to the future, thank you for listening. Go ahead, Queen.
Thanks, Panther. I think I really liked what Ed was saying. I think it's just, for me personally, my own personal perspective, I think I wish she'd said it differently. I wish she just said something. I mean, I don't have any particular, thoughts or feelings about Molly-Mae herself as an individual. Doesn't influence me, but, do your thing or whatever. But I think I think the word same kind of negates the experience of marginalized individuals and their experiences, and those and underprivileged individuals who don't have the same access to resources in order to achieve at the same or in the same way as maybe herself or others like her. And it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because I think looking in at I guess my role, my life experiences, and just working also in the area of inclusion, I think I always find this quite difficult as well, in that I understand that everyone starts at different positions in different places. I've told my story before of being a teenage parent. I have been homeless. I did live in a hostel. I lived a lot for people that haven't and aren't all in the same position as myself now. Not that I'm somewhere fantastic, but I do also even recognise where in my position I'm not as far as, I don't have the same access to resource and opportunities as similar people that work where I work. So I recognise that the start line is different for different people. I'm also in this position of and this is separate, taking Molly-Mae out of it, wanting to make sure that whenever I speak to young people, as I do a lot, and speak to underrepresented individuals from my industry, also wanting to find a way to inspire or to motivate, and never wanting to negate or to ignore their personal experience, but also not wanting people to feel like it's hopeless. And I've worked before I joined the corporate world, I worked in secondary schools, and there was a point where I had to leave that job. And I wasn't a teacher or anything. I was a behaviour mentor, so I worked with young people at risk of exclusion, and I worked in Prues. And there were points where I looked at them and I thought, I have no idea what you're going to do. I have no idea what you're going to do. I hated that feeling. I hated the feeling of looking at someone and thinking, I have no idea what you're going to do. Particularly with all of the changes that happen around our education system, and changes happening in society, and change to policy, and thinking, I have no idea. And then moving into a role where I felt like I had a little bit more access to resource in order to build, to sort of bridge that gap and create opportunities for people, for them to have more opportunity for things to do. But it's again it's a double-edged sword between not wanting to ignore or negate those experiences, but not also speaking down to people or taking away the opportunity or the motivation to do something. The word same for me is incredibly problematic, because same is just, we can all work out what's wrong with that. But there are 24 hours in a day, just full stop. That no one's are the same. Everyone's different. If you're depressed, if you have a disability, if you are a single parent, if you are, the list goes on. that 24 hours is going to look different depending on who you are. So we all have 24 hours, but they're just not the same. And I guess I'm just torn between how that is communicated to ensure that, one, you understand and acknowledge the individual experience of others, but two, make sure that you don't make people feel hopeless, as though there isn't something they can do with those 24 hours. What they do with it's going to look different for everyone, and success, again, subjective, looks different for everyone. What's success to me isn't success to you and shouldn't be. So that's a topic that can be explored, success. But I guess for me, it's that balance between the two. And I just wish, Molly-Mae, and I'm sure with life experience and with time, hopefully she will say something different. I definitely said dumb crap at 22. So glad that social media didn't exist, because you lot would be ripping me to shreds. I said some really dumb stuff, not like this, but some other things I'm sure I'd be embarrassed to be replayed. But yeah, maybe with time and perspective and life experience, she'll be able to communicate that differently.
Thanks, Queen. Any more replies or any sort of general response? We can go back to a general thing now. Go on, anybody jump in. Go on, Toyozi, is it? Go on.
I was. Oh,
Yeah, can I jump in? Is that okay?
oh,
I'll go Toyozi. I'll go Toyozi, then Gabby. Yeah. Go on, Toyozi. Go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, obviously there are 24 hours in a day. We can't dispute that. But I just want to, I don't know, appreciate what the part of chance, because time and chance go hand in hand, and hard work and a bit of luck go hand in hand in the same respect. So what, even if you are privileged, sometimes you need that little bit of chance, you need a little bit of luck to put you in the position that you might get to. Is Molly-Mae wrong? Absolutely not, because there are 24 hours in a day, and like I said, you can't dispute that. If everything she said is put into, if we're going to judge about what she said, she's not wrong, and I don't think she needs to apologize for that at all. But does that mean hard work in that alone gives you success? I don't believe that, and I just think there's a little bit more that goes on for you to get, for you to be successful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I respond?
It's
After
well, I'll do Gabby, and then so who wanted to
Hannah.
respond? Who was that? Okay, yeah. Yeah. No, thank you for coming up as well, Hannah. So I'll go to Gabby, and then it will be Hannah. Go ahead, Gabby.
I actually agree with what everyone is saying. I'm actually on everyone's side of this, because I think multiple things can be true at the same time. I think it's interesting how we grow up telling our kids they can do anything they can put our mind to it, reach from the stars. But now it's like we don't have the same 24 hours. You would never tell your child, well, we don't all have the same 24 hours, honey, and you just might not get to be an astronaut. No one does that. You tell your son, what do you want to be, honey? An astronaut, mummy. Yes, you shall be. Does everyone follow what I'm saying here?
100%.
Cool. So I think sometimes we get in our feelings when a certain person says a certain thing, but ultimately we say the same thing in our own way to our kids, to our loved ones, to our neighbors, to our colleagues, etc. So that's just number one. I agree with Sim. I will say the 24 hours as Beyonce meme, infamous meme now, didn't rub people up the wrong way, because it just didn't. And Molly-Mae, if you actually watch that interview, which I watched that interview before it went viral. So when that clip went viral, I was like, why is everyone talking about this? This came out last month. Because I actually subscribed to the Diary of a CEO. That's who she did the interview with. If you guys read the comments from 3 weeks ago, everybody was icked out at her general demeanor, even outside of the 24 hours a day quote. Like, just the way that Molly-Mae came across, it wasn't the most like personable, nice, kind, humble personality ever, but it's fine, it's not a big deal. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. It's just the way that she said it. Like, even when she mentioned the whole, I understand that certain people come from a certain background and are a bit underprivileged, like the way she even breezed through that sentence, like, it's not banter. Like, being homeless isn't banter. Like, you can take some time with your answer, Molly, and show some empathy and stuff, hun. Like, it's not, do you know what I mean? It's homelessness, it's foster care. So with that being said, though, in her defense, I don't think Molly-Mae would ever visit an orphanage in a developing country and make those comments. She would never look at those kids and be like, remember, you've got the same 24 hours as me. I think she was speaking within her range of knowledge of what she feels life in the UK is. Does that make sense? I don't think Molly-Mae actually knows the data on how many kids are in foster care being abused every single day and still said that. Do you get it? She made a comment within her own range. So when I heard it, I rolled my eyes, but I didn't think it was like this insidious comment by a Tory MP who actually knows about the depravity in this country and still chooses to say shit like that. So I did just want to put that out there, not in her defense, but like, come on, it's Molly-Mae, Jesus. And then the last thing I wanted to say, that which I do find quite interesting, is that the reason I think these comments are irresponsible isn't necessarily because of the 24-hour thing. Forget that. It's just a figure of speech. It's just an anecdote, really. I just don't like how intellectually disingenuous influencers are. I'll give you an example, and everyone got onto me when I said it. Adidas Yeezy, what we call Yeezys, those are trainers, right? How can you look up to Kanye when he has a licensing deal due to being famous? He doesn't own Yeezys. He doesn't own it, So that's not a black-owned business. When you're buying those trainers, it's not a black-owned business. He gets between 5 to 15%. We don't have the exact documents. When he first signed it, 5%. People are now saying it's up to 15% of the revenues each year. But when you buy Yeezys, you're not supporting a black-owned business. For example, don't you think celebrities should be held accountable for how they have what they have and how they portray how they got what they have? You cannot ask a 15-year-old child to aspire to have what Kanye has when the odds of them being a famous rapper married to the most famous woman in the world and then getting a licensing deal with one of the biggest manufacturers on earth and then getting 15% of that is almost 0%. So I think where Molly-Mae went wrong is that she's pretending that her situation is actually attainable, even if you are white with blonde hair and blue eyes, because there's a million white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls that will never have her opportunity too. Do you get it? So the whole thing is just intellectually disingenuous. There's only so many creative directors that there can be in life in general. And she's not even, well, I won't disrespect her, but she didn't even, it's not like she applied on monster.com with her CV. She even said that her manager negotiated it for her.
Monster.com.
No, but you know what I mean? How many people have business managers to negotiate their job? Mate, I don't even have a recruitment consult. So it was just a bit, that's not the same 24 hours, it's not the same opportunity. And even we sitting here on Clubhouse are in the top 1% of just mankind with our phones in our hand. Like, does that make sense? So just to close off, because I don't want to overspeak, I think it's less about the comment and more about the intellectual dishonesty behind the comment and about how celebrities get things and about how influencers get things and in general in life how people get things. You can't be a pilot if you don't have 2020. Do you get it? It doesn't matter how hard you work, your eyes will never be 2020. So I just think if people was actually aware of like what there is available in life and how you actually get it and the real rules and regulations in place, which is dictated by our capitalist economy of how you get those things, we'd just be a little bit more easy on each other with who has what they have and how, and whether it's down to hard work or not. I've gotten loads of opportunity in life because I was in the right place at the right time. Someone in the canteen like my trainers. Oh, I like your trainers. Oh, what's your name, Gabby? What do you do? I'm a producer. Oh, do you want to come up to my office and have a chat? Boom, I've gotten a job. That was privilege, not hard work. Do you get it? I was privileged because I was dressed in a certain way and the person liked me. So yeah. And oh, sorry, one last quick thing. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this. I also think that the hatred of poverty and people that aren't rich plays a really big part into this. Like, not everybody wants to be a millionaire. So unless someone actually comes at Molly-Mae and says, I want to do what you're doing and I don't have it, I feel like we randomly look at someone working in Sainsbury's and assume that they've fallen off from something, like they're not doing good. Maybe baby girl is happy behind the till and she's saving up her money. She's bought a couple of Apple stock and she feels blessed for her job. Do you get it? So yeah, I've heard a little bit of that in this room as well. Like, there's nothing wrong with not being rich. It's not everyone's aspirational and thus lazy if they don't have a certain aspiration.
Thanks. Just before any replies, I'm just going to go through another
Sure.
three. So it's going to be thanks.
Can you add me to the
Gabby.
queue when you can, please? It's Golden.
I will do. So it's going to be 4 then. So it's going to be Hannah.
Add me as well, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to be disordered, and then I'll come back around again. So it's Hannah, Ed, and Aristotle, then Golda, and then we're going to get some replies. Go on, Hannah. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Gabby made some really, really good points, and it was kind of similar. One of them is similar to what I was going to say of
why I think that her comments were misguided and just a bit irresponsible. So apart from like, you know, disenfranchised communities and things like that, like on a base level, she's young, she's white, she's blonde, she's thin. She already had a following. If we just take away one of those variables and make her fat, she wouldn't have had the following she had on social media, because bigger women are basically invisible, not seen as desirable and aspirational. She also wouldn't have got the position on the show that she got, that kind of made her hyper visible to the British public, which created the opportunities that she has now. And I think if she had stopped to think on that basic level of the characteristics she has that have created the opportunities that she has, she wouldn't have said such a comment. Like, it's offensive because, not like everyone has said, we're not all starting in the same position, and she doesn't need to have stats, she doesn't need to have data. She could have just been a bit more human and thought about probably even people she's like known, been to school with, worked with in the past, that blatantly couldn't achieve what she has just because of how they look. So yeah, that was kind of like my little one point that I wanted to make.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm going to go to Ed, and then it's going to be Aristotle, and then continuing. Go on, Ed.
Thanks, UK. So I agree with quite a lot of what was said previously. And I think one of the things that frustrates me the most is that there's an assumption that the system is broken. And in fact, it's the opposite. The system has never been as slick and efficient as it is at the moment. And whilst we keep underrepresented, or marginalized communities believing that they have the same shot, the same opportunity as those with more privilege than them, they will continue to live a fallacy in terms of what that potential may be. Now, there's statistical outliers, and we look at those token folks and we say, well, they've done it, well, they made it, well, they've got it. I'm not really interested in statistical outliers. I want to live in a society where it's representative. It's not about token outliers. It's about what does it look like proportionately for people within society. And we see it so often, whether it's appropriation of one kind or another. I see it within the gay community. We're okay with white cisgendered gay men. We can talk about pride or white lesbian women, but once we start to talk about trans people or queers running down the street wearing feather boas, the office might have an issue with it. And we see that across all of the groups. There's appropriate or acceptable outliers within those communities that all have privilege. And so the system absolutely needs to be dismantled, because the winners are the people who are watching marginalized communities believing that they can have the same access to opportunities. And also what Molly-Mae represented, the other side of the argument, where she genuinely believes that if you put the graft in, everybody has the same opportunity. And I suppose that's the juxtaposed position that's so offensive in all of this, is that actually if we continue in this trajectory, we all lose, apart from the owners of the record labels, the owners of the private healthcare providers, the owners of the organizations that get government contracts, the owners of the airlines. Who are these people? And absolutely, they are feeding a system that keeps them where they are, whilst we're all scrapping and punching down at each other over the likes of some Egypt on social media called Molly-Mae.
I'd like, yes. I really try not to go at Molly-Mae here, but just really, I'll just say the online focus comment. Thanks for your broad comments though, Ed. I just want to go on to Aristotle. Go on, Aristotle.
How you doing, guys? Right. So for me personally, success and happiness are quite subjective. So don't really compare what you see on social media as a reflection of happiness and success. In my view, success, happiness, it can be in a form of tangible things and intangible things. So by tangible things, it can be in material things like houses, cars, shoes, everything you see flooded on your social media feed. Another form of happiness is intangible things like love, friendship, and those sort of things. So for me, seek your own happiness. That's my starting point. And the final point I want to make is there's a famous quote that I like to refer to by a guy called Benjamin Franklin. He was one of the founding fathers of the American democracy. And he basically said that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So in the world that we're living in now, I would encourage all the young people, don't pay attention to the social media influencers. They're not going to teach you anything. Invest in your knowledge and work harder. Sorry, work smarter, not harder. And I'll
Okay.
finish there.
Thanks, Aristotle. I'm going to go to Golda. I want to just say thank you to the people who've joined. I see that Tox, or Harry was there earlier, Giuseppe, Ace, and Young, and other people have joined us today. So thanks for coming into the room, and also people followed by speakers, and also people in the audience. Just a quick, just because some new people coming, I'll just do a quick reset. So this is a conversation from my perspective anyway about different approaches to success. Some comments were made by an influencer about everybody having the same 24 hours. It went into a bit more detail than that, and the details of that are on the this Discord. I'm not looking at any DMs today, so please go to the Discord. I just find it a bit slow to see them on Clubhouse. So that's just we're just discussing that, whether everybody has the same 24 hours, what other things impact that, whether it be demographics, financial levels, and other things, and that's what we've been sort of looking at today. Some of the key points so far, and I have been taking a note, is that people's vantage point might affect how they motivate others. Also, I think Ed referred to the necessity for an equitable access to opportunities, and from Zav and other people, and some of the ladies have referred to, Martha and some other people have referred to working smartly. So those are the things that we've looked at. It is a recorded conversation, so people will be able to listen to some of those points later on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go to, I think it was Golda, and I just want to say thank you for joining. Please follow my club, UK Panther Talks. Also follow TM's Gentleman Club, and also follow me over on Twitter and all the mods. And I would say follow everybody on stage, to be honest with you. I mean, I brought them up because I've been on Clubhouse for over a year now, and all the people, Lane, Zav, I can pick anyone. They've all, in my opinion, added value to my time here on Clubhouse, and they've got good businesses outside as well. So do follow the people on stage as well. So I'm going to go now to Golda. Golda, go ahead, please. Thanks.
Hi, UK. Thanks. Great discussion as always. Just listening to everybody, just a couple of points that came to my mind, which was one of the big things I live by is that your life will go in the direction of your most dominant thought. However, that's going to be fueled by the resources available to you. And one of those primary resources just literally being your physical body. So being a 22-year-old girl, of the way everyone described Molly-Mae, I would just take it as in her reality and in her world. I don't think that to say she didn't work hard for the things she did, because other girls probably within her same league have also had influencers, been influencers, possibly with larger followings, trying to do similar things and didn't get the same opportunity. I find it interesting that our generation kind of simultaneously says, you can achieve and believe and go for things, while saying, but those who do are kind of making us feel bad by like rubbing in our faces that we don't all have the same opportunities. I don't think it's new knowledge to know that life has never been fair and it never will be. So whilst we all support diversity and inclusion and making opportunities for disenfranchised groups, we also realize that if we're all going to be property owners, who's going to rent? If we're all going to be shareholders, who's going to buy the products? Everybody wants to be aspirational and be at the top of the mountain without realizing that if we simultaneously make that opportunity available to everybody, who is going to make that pyramid where somebody is at the top? So it isn't fair, but I do look at it as it just is kind of how life is. So while Molly-Mae may come across as young and, throwaway comment, and I didn't listen to the podcast, I've just heard your comments here. Perhaps it was the nuance of her tone that's left a bad taste in people's mouth. I think equally books I've read along the way, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all these other kind of motivational books have been saying the same thing for decades, that you have the same 24 hours. You can advance yourself
as far as you can based on your ability, but knowing that of course there's going to be a limit, because we can't all be Beyonce or Molly-Mae or Sydney Poitier, rest in peace. So I don't think we need to get into a situation where it's almost like, because she was a bit too confident, I'm not happy with that level of success. That almost is a very British thing. We don't mind you being successful as long as you're humble with it. But should you dare show any kind of, yes, I deserve this and I worked hard and I, it's the right thing for me, there's almost like, that's a bad taste. She's a little too confident. I just think it's fair to say that the reality of life is people will always be disenfranchised. If they try to level and give everybody the same money and access to education, etc., all our individual differences that make us up means that we will not all end up in the same position. And that is okay. We need to normalize that. We can simultaneously try to empower people while normalizing the fact that, you did the best, but your best brings you to level 2. Somebody else did their best and it took them to level 1. That is okay. Equity and equality are not the same thing. And I don't think it's fair to bash people because of that. I'll just land there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And any of the people who've joined, for example, Giuseppe, Tox, Brooke, Young, if you want to jump in, it's kind of popcorn at the moment. So I've actually, who was after Golda? I think it's gone back to popcorn.
Yeah, it has. Golda was at the end of the queue.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, as I said, we've been discussing what I'm going to do now. Actually, I'm going to just reread it again. It's in the Discord, but I'm going to reread what was said. Okay, just to put this in a bit of context. And I also want to go to this is on the Shade Borough, but the suggestion that if it was a male saying it would be different. I mean, I'm not sure I've got the complete range for that part of the discussion, but I'm going to go there because that's what the gentleman who interviewed her said.
Can I come in after, please?
Well, why don't you come? Why don't you join in on that point? So do you know what I'm talking about? That's what I'll do that actually. So the person who interviewed her was a
Stephen
gentleman
Bartlett.
by the name of Stephen Bartlett. He's he's the new dragon on Dragon's Den, and what he said is this. He said, Molly-Mae, this is on his Twitter, Molly-Mae did an interview on my podcast yesterday. A soundbite from that interview went viral. She trended #1 on Twitter. Every newspaper covered it, and MPs weighed in. I didn't even know that, but MPs weighed in. I've had male guests say what she said. No one cared, but when Molly says it, she's crucified. Crazy. I've become very aware of the double standard that successful women face. If I interview a man and he can brag about money, take full credit for his success, and talk about his cars, if I interview, it's a question mark actually, I should have done that in the question. If I interview a successful woman, she's got to tiptoe around her success and watch her words. Gender issues aside, the standard we hold Molly-Mae to as a 22-year-old that's figuring out the world is absolutely outrageous. She once said she didn't like Italian food. It trended #1 all day, was written about in every newspaper, and she had to issue a public apology. Yeah, so that's what he said about it. Nicole, do you want to come in there? Go on.
So
So Nicole, I really want you to do something for me. Can you please Google the guy that said that before? Because I think it will help with your answer. And
I know who he is.
Oh,
Why
okay.
do you want me to Google him?
All
No,
right,
no. It's just because I do think that like him and Molly probably. But yeah, go on then.
All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to let Gabby go after you, Nicole. You say what you're saying, Nicole, and then we'll move on. Go on, Nicole.
So I'm an actual avid listener to the Diary of the CEO podcast, and actually I've read Stephen Bartlett's book, and he and Molly-Mae have a lot of synergy. So he was a young entrepreneur and started his business at a really young age. It was something to do with social media, and then he sold it for millions of pounds, and then started this podcast, and subsequently has become a dragon on Dragon's Den. He also has experienced some sort of privilege. He has a Nigerian mother, a white father, and according to his book, his mum was a serial business owner, but she was never able to sort of sustain it. She wasn't very good with money, etc. She sort of, in his words, enforced these Nigerian cultures upon him that wasn't necessarily, he felt, relevant to the life in which that he was living, and almost bullied his British father, who only just wanted to save and to do well. So he decided he was never going to be anything like his mother, and he was going to do business well from a very young age. So there we can see privilege in the sense that he had an entrepreneurial mother. He came from a two-parent upbringing. He had a father present in his life, which all play contributing factors to the privilege in which he was able to share with Molly-Mae. So therefore, to be honest, I can't necessarily relate to Steve, and I think he's great because the interviews that he does are really educational in understanding the mind of a CEO and understanding what it's taken for all of these people to get there in a similar way to how I built that podcast. It's interesting to learn how these people who have multi-million companies and how they've successfully navigated it. But again, we can't negate the privilege that he's come from. What I actually wanted to do is go to some statistics from the National Office of Statistics UK. I've back-channeled you them just in case you wanted to qualify.
Okay. Yeah.
There are several childhood indicators that predict a child's future poverty. One being education, and I know I work in education, so I'm going to keep preaching about it, but people with low personal education levels are 5 times more likely to be in poverty now than those with high personal education levels. Then growing up in a workless household has important impact. People who live in a workless household by the age of 14 are 50% more likely to be in poverty than those who have at least one parent that is working within their homes. So if we can see that, having a mirror, having somebody who is working, who does have some sort of education, greatly impacts children within our society. So to pretend that we have anything otherwise, I think is disingenuous. But I think right now on the stage, we seem to have quite a lot of socialists. The capitalists seem to have all given up and left. So I think I'm probably preaching to the choir when I'm saying this. However, I think a lot of us understand what functionalism is, and therefore the family serves a particular function within our society. The way in which that we teach our children, the way that we speak to our children, the activities, the food in which that we give them has great impact on the way in which they go out into the world. Secondly, the schools that we choose to put our children in is probably one of the biggest decisions that you could ever make, ensuring that that school has good teachers and good educational outcomes also predicts the success of our children and going out into the world. The people who they associate with within their school environment is also going to have a massive indicator. So I think if there's any decision that you make for your child to make sure that is important, that is important, make sure that you send them to a really good school. And I think I say this a lot personally because I came from a really poor household. I came from my parents didn't do so well. They wasn't even working. But I think because my sisters and I went to great schools and we had a high level of education, we were able to move past that. I too was one of the first people to go to university. I'm actually the first person in my family to have a career and a salary. But it's got a lot to do with education, and we can't deny that the way in which that we operate and understand these systems and navigate them is going to help our outcomes overall.
Okay, fancy goal.
UK Panther, can I come in after Gabby? And before
Yeah,
I close
sure,
my
sir.
Can you
eyes,
go
I
after
want
me,
to
please?
address the topic,
Sure,
please.
sure, sir. Yeah, no, sure. So just one question. So what I'm going to
Did
do,
you get
just
my
to
back
put in
channel?
context, I'm not looking at. So I should say I'm not looking at back channels on Clubhouse. It's all in the Discord. You might not have known that, so sorry about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm
Can
just
you
going to
add me to the queue, please?
read it again just to put in context for everybody, and I'll put you in the queue as well, St. J. So, in the clip she claimed she's, and then it's going to be Gabby next after I finish speaking. In the clip she claimed she has worked my ass off to get where I am now, and everyone has the same 24 hours. She said, "You're given one life, and it's down to you what you do with it. You can literally go in any direction. when I've spoken about that in the past, I've been slammed a little bit with people saying it's easy for you to say that because you've not grown up in poverty. So for you to sit there and say we all have the same 24 hours in a day is not correct. But technically, what I'm saying is correct. We do. She went on. I understand we all have different backgrounds and we're all raised in different ways. We do have different financial situations, but I think if you want something enough, you can achieve it. It just depends on what lengths you want to go to get where you want to be in the future. And I'll go to any length. She then added, I've worked my absolute to get where I am now. So what I wanted to say, so I haven't ignored what you said, Nicole. So you listed like quite a long list of different things that can affect people in progressing that are outside of their control. Is that what you were kind of saying, Nicole? That's what I took from it. Before we go on to Gabby.
Yes, essentially, and that actually Stephen Bartlett is aligned in his upbringing with Molly-Mae. They have very similar upbringings, so therefore he's going to agree with her.
Okay, well, fair enough. I mean, that's your view. And as I say, everything on here is alleged, but so to speak, because But anyway, I'm going to go on to Gabby. Gabby, what did you want to say, Gabby? Go on, and then it's going to be Tox. Yeah.
Nicole, I'm so sorry. I didn't have my phone with me. I thought that you said that you didn't know who he was, but you clearly do, and you said what I was going to say. Because I do think that him tweeting that is quite indicative of his own background and how he thinks. And I mean, I hate to go there, but a lot of people in the comments were like, you didn't really go in on Molly-Mae as much as you do with the other people that you ask questions. And again, that's part of her privilege. Like, she's his type. He probably just thought, what's the point? I've got a pretty woman in front of me. I'm not gonna, I think he's just invested in a sustainable business. What's it called? Oculus Octopus. I don't want to say it and misquote his business, but he's like invested in a business that is environmentally friendly. But he had someone that heavily promotes PLT, which everyone has, sort of criticized for how they treat the environment. He didn't say anything. So he's clearly biased towards her for a major amount of reasons, which I think actually quite, proves the point of her privilege. But anyway, yeah, that's the only reason I said to Google him, because someone else said they didn't know him, but you obviously do. One thing I did want to say, yeah, is that one thing I noticed is that Molly actually contradicted herself in the podcast. I just realized one thing she did say in it. She said she never knew what a mortgage was. I'm not lying. She said after she started to make all this money, she realized she wanted to buy a house, especially after the property that she was in got robbed and stuff, and they were renting it. And she said she never knew what a mortgage was or how to pay taxes, and that her manager had to teach her, which I find really interesting. So my girl is a business mastermind that has no privilege and had to just pull up her bootstraps, but she didn't even know about self-declaring your income or a mortgage. But ding, 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 she had a business manager, a business partner, Fran, who she gushes about throughout the entire interview. You lot should really watch it. Fran. Fran asks me, what do you want? I tell her, and she gets it. Can you flash your mic if you lot have someone in your life who you tell that you want something? She made Fran sound like a magic genie. That if you have someone in your life that you can tell to get you a PLT deal and they'll get it for you, can you flash your mic just to make sure that I'm not being like tone deaf? Does anyone in?
It depends on the context, because if Fran was like a
Absolutely.
personal assistant or like a
Yeah.
manager or like some sort of colleague or whatever, then yeah, it depends on the context. Obviously, Fran
Oh,
can't click her fingers and get her a Lamborghini. Do you get, like, it's contextual?
oh no, I'm speaking within context. I watched that when it came out 3 weeks ago. She was like, we work so hard and anything that I tell Fran I want, like we just make things happen together. We
But
just
Gabby, people have that.
no,
People have. I've worked. Okay, not
Yeah,
I
not
agree
PLT,
with
but
her.
there's
people
people who
do
have
have that.
workplace mentors, and
I
they'll say, "What is your
Yeah,
next
one
job?"
second,
And they'll help
ladies.
you
One
get
second,
it.
ladies.
Golda.
1 second. I'll just let Gabby finish. And I just want to say everything being said about any sort of factual points are all alleged. You have to do your own research. I'm not saying that I stand by
Yeah, because I don't even.
anything made about companies and names
Yeah,
and
sure.
what companies are doing. I don't have the I've not done research to stand by any of those comments. So
No,
just want
I
to say
don't.
that. So Gabby, finish what you're saying. Golda just wants to say something quickly, and then I'm going to go on to Tox.
No,
If
that's fine. Golda, I 110,000% agree with you. What I'm saying is that Molly slightly contradicted herself because she said, "Oh, I work so hard for what I've got, and you've got 24 hours in a day," but she never even knew how to pay her taxes. You get it?
A lot of people don't because they're on
But
PAYE.
she
They
didn't
pay as
say
they
that. She didn't
earn.
say that a lot of people don't. She said you have 24 hours a day and you can make your dreams come true. You can do anything if you put your mind
Yeah,
to it.
but that's
Exactly.
sorry to cut you
She
off there,
couldn't
but that
even pay her. Wait. You're not
sorry.
listening. She couldn't even pay her own taxes if she put her mind to it. She had to ask someone to help her.
But that kind of adds to a
You're right,
point. It kind
Gabby.
of
That's
adds
all.
to a point though, because she's kind of showing
Isn't
you that
asking
she
someone
didn't
putting your mind to
need,
it.
Keep my
she
mind
didn't
then. Okay,
need,
fine.
What?
she didn't
Yeah.
need to know how to pay taxes, and like the
Exactly,
fear,
St.
the
Jay.
fear, the fear of, oh, I don't know how to do taxes. It seems so complicated. Oh, I don't know what a mortgage is. It seems so complicated. Oh, I'm not going to bother. Do you get that? Would hold some people back. However, it didn't hold her back. Do you get? Because she was like, fuck it, I don't know how to pay taxes.
She'll
And
pay someone to do her
because she
taxes.
was so, yeah, that's okay. That way, if that's privilege, yeah, then that's privilege. However, like she
Go on for
didn't
another
need
20. Then
to
I want to go
know.
to Tox because he's been
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah, Tox will go after that. But she didn't need to know how to pay taxes to achieve the success that she had in it, because it's not about the paying of taxes. It's about like what she's talking about in the interview. That if you believe that you can do something, you can do
That's
it.
not true, Jay, because
Thanks, Gabby.
That's
how
not what
Just
she
stop.
was
I'm just
saying.
gonna stop it there.
let me
Just
just put
UK, can you
yeah.
put me in the queue,
One
please?
second, ladies,
okay,
ladies
you've
and
let bare
gentlemen.
people respond, like, but fine.
Yeah, no, Gabby. What I'm gonna do is the mic's back on you, Gabby. For maybe another 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna go straight to Tox, and then I've added Saint J and Ace to the queue. Go on, Gabby. Just
No,
finish off what
literally,
you're saying.
all I
Go
was
on.
going to finish off by saying, by the way, is let's not brush what Molly-Mae said under the rug. Do you know how many businesses go bust? Do you know how many celebs go broke because of their taxes? Just saying, because they don't have the privilege of the certain type of people around them to help them. Do you know how many celebs have people teeth off them, rob them blind? They die, they've got nothing to leave their children. So I'm just saying, again, the whole just context, nuance, everybody. Molly-Mae is privileged that she even had a manager that didn't want to rob her. She even said on the podcast, I'm really lucky to have Fran because everyone else has had such negative experiences with their manager. Just saying.
Can I say,
She kind of,
Sting?
she doesn't even
Zav,
really,
I'm gonna ask you to wait, sir. Just
I'm
on this
actually
occasion, I want
just,
to go straight to Tox after
But
Zav.
she's
So we're
right.
gonna go
She's
round.
right.
sticking up for her. I'm
Okay,
actually
fine.
sticking up for Molly-Mae a little bit and just saying I don't even think she meant what she said that deeply, because she even went on to like what's it called again? Contradict herself several times. Like, we all have the same 24 hours, but I've got the best manager ever and everyone else has got a shit one. Do you get it? That's
Okay,
all.
fine. Listen, I'm gonna add Zav in as well. So Tox, go ahead. You just make your main submissions and any additional points. Just take your time. Go on.
Yeah, thank you, UK Panther. And thank you to this room as well. I wouldn't have commented this evening because I've just had a round trip all the way down to Nottingham and back, and really, really tired. But I can't, just for the life of me, sit in the audience and listen to this conversation and not bring in my sense of wisdom into this conversation. For those that don't know me, my name is Tokumbo, also known as Tokes. I'm a property investor. I also do free mentoring as well. I've got assets in terms of property in a couple of millions in pounds across the UK. I've had no privileges. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I was born in UK, but I was raised in Nigeria by a single mom, a hardworking mom, and she's late. As a child, I saw poverty. As a child, we had to move from one rented apartment to another. And for those that have heard my story, I'm sorry for repeating myself.
No, go ahead.
But when my mom can't afford the increase in rent, the landlord increased the rent, my mom can't afford it as a single mom. We had to move from one house to another. Growing up in Nigeria, though I was born in UK. My father didn't want to know about me then, though he did later on before he passed away as well. The worst house I ever lived in, and this has not applied to any of you in this room, and I'm speaking with emotion because I want to empower all of you. I don't want any of you to leave this room to believe that you need privileges to make it in life. You don't need it.
Facts.
Please. I want to finish and I'm going to go to bed and sleep.
No, go True Talks. Go True Talks.
Yes, I had no privileges. I was raised through poverty. The worst house we ever lived in Nigeria was a house with no windows. When it rains, my room is full of water. When it's cold, it's absolutely cold and I'm freezing cold back then in Nigeria. One thing my mom gave me was education, and that is what I held on to. And as a student in uni back in those days, when I say university, because I studied law back in those days, I used to go to charity shop in Nigeria to go and buy my clothes so that I would look like somebody in school in those days. Eventually, I graduated as a lawyer in Nigeria and I practiced for 3 years. Guess how much I was earning for the 3 years? For each month, my salary was less than £50 a month. And I had to ask myself one day, I have a mom who is alive, who has borrowed lots of money to give me education. I have siblings who are looking up to me. I'm not even married yet. How will I raise a family on £50 as a lawyer in Nigeria? And that is when I came back to UK. And when I came back to UK in 98, the first job I got was through Adeco. And what did Adeco give me? They gave me a job in parcel force, and I had to unload parcels from a truck onto a conveyor belt. And I asked myself, I was trained as a lawyer in Nigeria. I was practicing law in Nigeria. It was so dignified. Clients will come to the office and take my bags and take me to court to go and present their cases. When I finish from court, clients will take me to a canteen to go and eat. I said, is this what UK has to offer me? And one day I had to go to Adeco in Barking, and I told Adeco, did you not see my CV? LLBBL. I'm highly qualified. Why are you giving me this job? The next job they gave me, which was close to Christmas, was behind a lorry. I was a lorry boy. So there was a driver and there was me beside the driver. And what was my task? My task was, we're going to deliver parcel, and they were like washing machine and heavy parcels. So I did that one again, and eventually I worked with Ford. I was building car seats in Ford. To cut the long story short, eventually I found my way into the civil service, and I got into the civil service in 99. So I was in the wilderness for 1 year doing all sorts of jobs as a qualified lawyer. Eventually I found my way into CPS. I was in CPS in the civil service. Then I found my way into the Ministry of Justice, where I spent a larger part of my career in the civil service. And I rose quite in a very meteoric way. I rose through the ranks until I hit the glass ceiling. When I hit the glass ceiling, I have to ask myself, I said, look, there is more to me than just being stuck in this grade. I believe that I have a given talent. I have a hidden talent. And I think through having a good mentor, through having the right connection, I found myself into real estate. And that is what brought me to limelight. That was my calling. And I got into real estate, and eventually from one property I was able to buy multiple properties. Why was I able to do that? Because I had the knowledge. I did not have the privilege. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I understand the system. I have the right mentors. I know how to get mortgages. I know how to turn one property into multiple properties. And that is what I want to encourage everyone in this room to tag onto, to hold onto. You need the right role models. You need the right mentor. You need the right information that will set you apart from other people. You don't need privileges to make it in life. Just like I went through life in a hard way and I had no privileges, but I was connected to the right mentor. I was connected to the right model. That is what you need. And that is what I will be telling my children. I've got kids in university, don't get me wrong, and I want them to have access to information. What you need is access to information that will set you apart from other people, and it will help you to set the standards in your different environments, in your different disciplines. So please do not hold on to that belief. Do not hold on to that thinking that you need privileges in life, that you need to be born with a silver spoon to make it. I was born poor, but that doesn't mean that my life remained poor. I turned my life around myself completely. But I have to say one thing. I think God was with me. And I believe, one thing I believe I will say to myself is, one is I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. That's one of
Amen.
my belief. Number two of my belief is, I always, number two of my motivation is, when I got into the civil service and I hit the glass ceiling, and the glass ceiling for me was being able to rise from administrative officer in 1999 to an SEO, senior executive officer, in 2006. Then I hit the glass ceiling. To get to a grade 7, the glass ceiling just closed completely. And I said, that's fine. I will find another way around to fulfill my destiny, to fulfill my calling. And I did it. And I'm even more, I don't want to boast. I won't do that one. But I earn more income compared to an SCS in the civil service. And an SCS is I think I can't remember the full definition, but I earn more income than an SCS in a civil service because I've got 7 incomes that comes into my account. One is the rental income, and I've got other incomes that come into my account on a monthly basis. And when I did my tax return, I'm in a higher tax rate already, and I'm paying. What I've managed to do is double the wages they give me in the civil service from the rental income on its own. And that's not the only income I earn. But a couple of things I want to say to all of you in this room is, when people knock you down, when life knock you down, when I say life, because life happens to all of us, people knock us down with their words, with their twisted words, with their twisted mouth, with their twisted opinion. When people knock you down, that is their fault because they knock you down. But if you chose to stay down and you don't get up, that becomes your fault. That becomes my fault. And for that reason, I will not stay down. I will not be silent. And I can't be silenced by anybody as well. I will fulfill my destiny. I'll fulfill my calling. I'll find the right connections, and I'll tap into those connections to fulfill my calling. And that is what I want all of you to do. Again, one thing about me is that, and for those of you that want to go, you can go and check my bio on Clubhouse. I am a glass half full, not a glass empty. I will not sit down and talk about what life has done to me. No. What I will do is that I will use the bricks thrown at me to lay my own foundation. And apart from that, finally, when life throws lemons at me, when life throws lemons at all of you, what I want all of you to do is to be creative with those lemons and use those lemons that life has thrown at you to make lemonade. Do not sit down and say, life has done this to me. Make something out of it. Be creative. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, sir.
UK, can I respond to
Uh,
Tox?
what I want to do, Nicole, is actually I'll give you 30 seconds to a minute to respond, and I'm gonna go to St. Thanks, Tox, for that. I mean, that was very inspirational. I've taken loads of notes, but anyway, go on.
Hey, Tox. Thank you for that. And with it, and I can completely see why people find your story very inspirational. And I can understand why you would say that you didn't have a silver spoon in your mouth when from the recount of your story. However, I would say that you have experienced some sort of privilege. One, your name Tokumbo, That means born overseas, does it not?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Where was you
I was
born?
born in Islington.
You was born in Islington, so you was born in the UK. Can you see how that's a privilege compared to the majority of
Jesus
Nigerians?
Christ.
Can I say something?
This
Can
is
I just
mad.
finish, please? Can I
Can you
just
let
finish?
her finish?
Let
Let
me
her
just finish
finish.
my
We
Okay,
point.
don't
one
want to
Can
hear
I
it
just
Mad,
in
finish
mad,
you.
my
mad.
point, please?
everybody stop. Everybody stop. Tox is very, you know, he's going to be able to respond in a minute, and then we're going to move on to. And you, if you want to respond to the point Nicole's making, just take it with your time. So it's going to be Saint J, then Ace. But finish what you're saying, Nicole. Tox
Thank
is
you very
very.
much.
He's a lawyer, so he's going to
Add
be
me
able
to
to
the
respond.
queue,
It's all right. He
UK,
doesn't need anybody
please.
to respond for him for now. Go and finish what you're saying, Nicole, and then Tox.
Add me
Okay,
to the
one,
queue.
Yeah,
being
Okay.
born overseas
yeah,
and then
have
being
Sarah.
entitled to British citizenship and then being able to come to Britain is a privilege comparatively to most Nigerians. Secondly, being a man, being born in Nigeria is a privilege over women because actually it's a patriarchal society, therefore men are considered head of the household, etc. Thirdly, you then said that you had access to education, which is another privilege. In order to be a lawyer, you have to have access to education, which is another privilege comparatively to the majority. This is not me taking away from the fact that hard work actually does contribute and particularly in your story you've had to work hard, you've had to be industrious, you've had to overcome what seems incredible barriers, and that's not to take away anything, but I also want us to recognize the privileges that we have comparatively to other people. So I think it's disingenuous to say that you didn't have any privilege, because you did have privilege comparatively to other people. And I know just for myself, I'm Caribbean.
Nicole, could you round it up in a bit, because I just want
Yeah,
Tox to
this is
respond.
my final
Yeah,
point.
go on.
I know that actually in Nigeria there is a hustle culture, and there is a culture that you work hard and you do well. So then when you come to environments like here in the United Kingdom, there is an advantage over, and I see this with a lot of international students, that because of that I'm going to work harder. That isn't necessarily embedded within the British culture and in our education. So I just wanted to make those points.
All right, Tox, you've got 2 minutes if you want to respond. Go on, sir.
Okay. The first thing I want to say is that if there is anyone in this room that needs someone to support them, to assist them, to encourage them, to mentor them, and to inspire them, I'm happy to do that. And I do have a mentoring group which is free, but that is for property. I might create a separate one if you're in this room and you're a student and you need someone to hold your hand. I'm happy to do that. That's number one. Number two is I do not see me being born in UK as a privilege. There are lots of people who are born in the UK who are still living in UK and have not been able to make anything out of their careers completely. And I think probably there may be them, with due respect, there may be a few in this room who are struggling, who are born in UK and are struggling for identity. I think if there's one privilege I have, and I'll admit to this, UK Panther, listen carefully. If there's one privilege I had, is I was exposed to poverty, and that motivated me to be determined, to be focused, and to know my why about life. My why about life is to change my landscape, it is to change my history, it is to change my story, and being able to give to my children, my family, the best that I probably didn't have as a child. But that being said, my mom gave me everything as a child. Only that she gave me out of the little she had, which was a widow's mite. And that I appreciated. But to say I had a privilege is an insult. But again, I hold no grudges. I had no privilege whatsoever. I'm done speaking. I won't hold the mic.
Okay.
UK, can I say something quick?
No, one second, everybody. I want to go to Saint J, and I know he wanted to say something on this point. I'm curating a queue. It's going to be Saint J, Ace, AJ, and then
Yeah,
some
add me
others.
to the
Go
queue,
on,
please.
Saint J.
Are you alright, bro? Did I
Who's
not
me?
say
No, sorry,
you
Sarah.
came with that rush off
Sarah,
me,
Sarah's
bro?
you're so no, Sarah's in front of AJ. Go on, Saint J.
Can you add me to the queue as well, please?
Who's that? Who's that?
King
King
Yoruba.
Yoruba.
Okay, fine. You're towards the end, King Yoruba.
Cheers.
Go on, Saint J.
Sweet.
Yeah, I do have more to say after this. But Nicole, are you there?
I am indeed, St. J.
Do you have 10 fingers, darling?
I do, yes.
Do you have 2 eyes that work?
I do.
And look, you're speaking to me in English. So does that mean that you have privilege as well?
Yeah.
So, being able-bodied over a disabled body gives me a privilege.
It
Yes,
gives you a
you're
significant
correct.
privilege. Yeah.
Being sighted, having a sight over somebody who has no sight, awards me a privilege. Yes.
It's better than me. I wear glasses, bruv. I can't see shit. I'm
Well, I
myopic.
wear glasses too, so then we're in the same boat.
Fair enough. But basically, no, sorry, I received the back channel. I was not laughing at you. But basically, my point. Well, I've got more points, but yeah, basically, one of the points I wanted to make real quick, yeah, is that every single human has privilege. Like even someone who is growing up in like the slums of India and like has one arm and is like, like going through the worst thing that they're going through, they have privilege because they're alive, And it's about gratitude, being grateful for what we have and being grateful for the quote unquote privilege that we do have and allowing this to even be more of a reason that we're gonna make our dreams come true, etc., etc. So the scariest thing about excuses is that they're all true, like every single one. And Tox, thank you so much for your share. It was beautiful, amazing, heartfelt, and by the grace and power of God, you achieved it, and it's such a blessing. And I pray that you achieve many, many more. And every single other person that heard your voice, I pray it plants a seed in them as well, and it grows into something. But it's important because you mentioned amazing points. One of them was belief, right? Belief. The man that believes he can and the man that believes he can't, man or woman, whatever, that believes they can and man or woman that believes they can't are both correct. It's very important.
Preach.
Like we're both correct in it. Because with Tox's story, yeah, you got to deep it. Like, let's say hypothetically, in an alternate reality, he was doing it, he was working the job, and he just decided, you know what? I'm just gonna stay here. I'm just gonna work this job. I'm gonna retire. Let me check up. Let me look at what the retirement schemes are like. Or let's say he's like, you know what? Let me just stay in England. It's an opportunistic land. Or do you know what? Let me just give up. Like let me just relax. Let me just be complacent. Let me just there's like I can't do it. I can't. I'm not white. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not tall. I'm not strong. I'm not 20 years old. You get like excuses. I don't have privilege. I don't have enough privilege. Like excuses. Do you get like? However, he even when reality wasn't looking like the ideal dream that he had in his mind, he still continued to have that dream in his mind, and he was able to bring it into the reality, into his present moment. Why? Because he didn't give up. Like there's no such thing as failure. There's only so Harrison Ford, I think his name's Harrison Ford, but when he was trying to create Ford, the car brand that we all know, right? He failed.
Definitely
Okay,
not
yeah, it's,
Harrison Ford.
It's
I think it's
definitely not
Henry. It's
Harrison
Henry.
Ford.
Is it
Yeah,
Henry?
No, no,
Henry.
continue.
Yeah.
It is Henry
Henry.
Ford,
Yeah,
yeah, Henry
yeah.
Ford. Love
Harrison
it.
Ford's a movie star.
I'm pretty sure
Continue,
Harrison
Harrison
Saint
Ford's
Ford
an
J.
is
actor.
the actor.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
actor.
yeah. I
Continue,
mixed it up.
Saint J.
Henry Ford. So Henry Ford, when he was making the Ford motor, it was like the first of its kind or whatever, and like every single iteration of the motor that he made like failed, and like people were like quitting and like they were leaving. People mocked him. People laughed at him. People said, "Yo, this isn't gonna work. Give up." Da 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 da, etc. 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 Yeah, he still persevered because it was like, okay, cool. I know that this is going to work, and I don't care about what anyone else says. This is my dream, and I'm gonna make it happen. And guess what? He made it happen, and then it worked. And like to get yeah, and then he said, I found 101 ways that the motor wouldn't work, and I found one way that it would. Cool. So that's out of the way. I want to say that what Molly-Mae said, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's not that deep at all. It is facts, and you can do a whole deep podcast. You could write. There are books on this. You can go esoteric with it. You can go deep with it. It is very like it is very real, right? And it goes very like deep. It gets into like spiritual stuff. I'm not going to do that today because I don't have an hour to talk and I don't want to put people to sleep. But it is very, very, very true that at the end of the day, the man that says he can and the man that says he can't are both correct, right? With what Molly-Mae said, yeah, like it's the only thing that she's ever said that I agree with, like, and I read it. I literally googled up Molly-Mae clicked on the ITV article, read it, and I was like, right, that's nothing. Do you get? And if a man said that, then yeah, it would literally be quoted and put on a motivational TikTok page tomorrow. Do you get? It's just because it's Molly-Mae and people just love being triggered. Like, guys, we need to deep, yeah, that with our brains, with our unconscious mind, right? It is leading the show, right? It is determining everything, you know. And when it comes to your mindset is the most important part of your reality, because it's all that exists. All that exists is your interpretation of your personal reality, personality. Do you get? Like, it's very deep. So like with what Molly-Mae said, it's great because yes, she does come from privilege. She probably comes from tons of silver spoon fed privilege. However, it doesn't take away from the validity of, it doesn't matter who you are, you can still make it happen. Now, Nicole, what you're saying, some extremely valid and valuable points. However, I may be wrong in this. However, I believe that those are in the context of working a job, to get, of the traditional, before Web 3.0, before even Web 2.0, before crypto, before trading, before dropshipping, before the internet, like, no, while the internet,
I'm gonna
whatever,
give you
but
another
before
minute, Saint
metaverse,
J,
whatever,
to round up.
before
Yeah.
etc., before the world changed, yeah, the narrative, the belief system was, in order to be happy and successful, one must go through this process of education. And I would appreciate if I could have some time to actually like land, considering no one else really had this time restraint. But it is what it is. It's your room, whatever. But yeah, like Nicole, you're speaking like the way that I interpreted what you're saying is like in the context of like working a job, like going to school, then getting good grades, going to uni, getting good qualifications, applying to jobs, getting that good placement job, and then working your ass off, and then graduate, and then not graduating, but getting what's the word, so promoted, promotion, you know, ladder, climb the corporate ladder, build a career, etc., etc. 100%. Everything that you're saying is pattern. Like you, yeah, like if you're, you know, with the statistics that you shared, yeah. However, we live in a different time, right? The university curriculum is out of date, and those statistics to me are probably out of date as well. Because again, with the excuses thing, one can take those statistics that you shared and apply it to their life and be like, do you know what? Statistically, it's not looking good for me. Statistically, I'm probably not going to be successful. I have dyslexia. Do you get? Not me personally, but in example, I have dyslexia. I have this. I have that. Oh, damn! My parents didn't work hard. Well, guess that takes all success off the table. It's not. Do you get? It's, yes, those statistics exist. However, like again, the man that says he can and the man that says he can't are both correct. And the scariest thing about excuses is that they're all true. Like this world that we live in, you'll be astonished at how not easy, but how readily accessible and available any path, any passion, any way to make money, etc., etc., etc. It's all just a couple taps away. And not only that, but you've got all of these people on YouTube documenting how they did it and willing to teach you for near enough free. Like, abundant information is abundantly everywhere. And at the end of the day, yeah, it is again about our determination and our drive and our mindset that is going to determine whether or not we're actually going to achieve anything in life or not. So I'm going to wrap up, and basically like what Molly-Mae said isn't that deep. And guys, like we need to, reality isn't as black and white as we think it is. Like when it comes to our beliefs and the way that, you know, when we look in the mirror, like what opinions do we have of ourselves, of what we can and can't do, you know, fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Like, are we able to, you know, do something and not succeed at that thing? Yeah, this is what I want to say. Failure only exists when you decide that you failed. Do you get? Like, you can mess up again and again and again and again and again and again and again for 10 years. And then one time you will just succeed. And that one time you're now a millionaire. Do you get? Like, it is about your, like, because when you're doing your purpose, when you're doing your passion, when you're doing what makes you love, when you're giving value to other human beings, then you will never fail. Do you get? You are always doing something that is of value, and you will always like for every action is an equal and opposite reaction. So when you give value, you get value. So that's all that Molly-Mae's done. She's given value and she's received value. When she was on Love Island, she was giving value. When she's doing PLT collaborations, she's giving value. When she's going to Instagram, she's giving value, etc., etc., etc. It is down to equivalent exchange and giving a value. But yeah, like guys, believe in yourself. It's possible. You can do whatever you want. I'm done.
I have
Okay, my
something to
name's
say,
Thanks,
Georgie.
please.
AJ. Everybody
Oh,
stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. Save your replies. I'm gonna go for 3 more people. Just take a note of the replies. Maybe put them in a Discord and
okay.
then take a note of them. So
I'd like
two
to
two
speak.
things. One moment, please. I've got 4 people in the queue at the moment.
Yeah, same. I would like to say something.
I just want
I
to do a
have
bit.
something to say,
No, that's fine. I've got
please.
4 people. I'll come to you. I'll come to you lot in a second. I've just got a
Thank
bit of
you.
I've got a bit of housekeeping to do. So, first of all, thank you everybody for joining. Basically, we're talking about the 24 hours. We've gone on to talking about privilege, and there is the Twitter hashtag is the one that's in the title. Molly-Mae CH. This room's not meant as any sort of attack or negativity on Molly. More just analysing what it means to be successful. So I think we moved kind of a little bit on from Molly-Mae personally. This isn't really about that. In terms of, I don't look at DMs on Clubhouse anymore. So if anybody wants to DM me anything in relation to this, please do it in the link. The Discord link is above. People have made some contributions which I've read out earlier on, where people can post links and we can share sources to sort of back up the things that people say on the stages and so forth. It's a lot more easier to manage. Please follow me on Twitter, which is UK Panther Talks. Also follow my club here on Clubhouse, which is also UK Panther Talks, and also follow TM's Gentleman Club. I also do some rooms in there as well with TM, and follow TM. And I would say follow everybody on stage. They in my time here on Clubhouse, which has been at least a year now, I feel that the people who I've invited to the stage have brought some real value. So do follow the people on stage. So I'm going to return to the queue now. So just save your replies. The next person in line who's been waiting for absolute ages is Ace. Then it's going to be Sarah, King Yoruba, then AJ, something along those lines. But go ahead, Ace. And I'm gonna ask people. Because I'm gonna be winding it all up soon. So I'm gonna give people say 2 to 3 minutes each to make their main points. Go ahead, Ace. Go.
Yeah, I'm gonna be as concise as possible. Good convo, definitely. Excellent points made. I'm gonna try not to repeat anything. I'll just kind of do a quick whistle top store. All right, whistle stop tour. Always say that wrong. Quick survey if you don't mind, UK. Could you flash your mic? Anybody on the stage if you were born without any privileges? Just wanna. So not a single privilege you have. Okay. All right. Okay. Unless you're that's I would personally respectfully like to say anyone that flashed their mic is being disingenuous because you're speaking on a smartphone with internet. That's a privilege. So I don't understand. Keep having this conversation about having privilege. We all have privilege. Every single one of us have privilege. Those of us that are able-bodied have privilege. Those of us who are educated have privilege. Those of us who are healthy have privilege. Those of us who are alive have privilege. So I think when it comes to this discussion, I think when people are talking, especially systemically, about how, especially our country, or I say our, I'm assuming we're all from the UK, I'd say the country of my residence, which is the UK, and the system that we speak of, and how certain privileges mean or weigh more in certain spaces than others, be it race or gender, intersectionality, so and so. I think what we often forget is it's really easy to look from the outside and say, oh yeah, no, yeah, you've got that, so of course you were going to make it. I've heard quite a few people say, oh, Molly's a white woman, Molly's conventionally attractive, Molly was educated, Molly well, I'm a bit confused because my research said her parents were police officers, but I've heard people say she was middle class, or even upper class, but Molly's had this silver spoon in her mouth. And I like what Nicole said to Tokes. I think Tokes' story is incredible, but I like what she said. And I think for me, it's about, I'm somewhere in between the majority of people. I think privilege, unfortunately, grants people opportunities that other people don't have. But what privilege doesn't grant is desire. And I think when Molly-Mae was speaking, she was speaking about desire, having the desire to be successful, having the desire to want to make something of yourself, not necessarily the opportunity. And like Golda said, I think it'd be incredibly disingenuous for us to even suggest on this stage that we want a circumstance or a situation where we all have the same opportunity. We don't. We live with it day by day. In fact, we actively make choices every day to place ourselves in spaces or to give ourselves the tools that will enable us to access better and better opportunities. Most people would rather qualify themselves to get success rather than campaign for the bar of success or the qualification to be reduced. Most people would rather meet the bar than lower the bar. And I think when we're having this conversation, I think the word tone deaf was put out. I can understand why some would say that what she said was tone deaf. But I also want to just say that I think when it comes to a 22-year-old girl in a public platform on a podcast speaking about her particular struggle, I think it's preposterous. Some people have alluded to the fact that she was handed her position. And I think somebody mentioned earlier that her inability to pay taxes, she was kind of rescued by the her management. And I think
Helped by not rescue days, helped.
Okay, helped. Fair enough. I can take that. She was helped by her management. I think one thing a lot of people are forgetting or conveniently forgetting is, unfortunately, there is this intangible I don't know, force that human beings have spoken of throughout history. We've got many words for it. And that intangible force means that sometimes two people who have exactly the same desire and exactly the same opportunity end up with two completely different results and journeys. And that force is called fortune, luck. We call it a lot of things, but essentially what it means is some people wake up in the morning and run into people who change their lives on the train. Some people don't. And unfortunately, for us, we don't have the ability to choose or campaign, whether you believe in spirits or gods or religion, whatever it may be. No human being has the power to influence their life in totality. There is an element of control that we don't have. So finally, what I'll say is that I agree that maybe it was tone deaf what she said, and maybe it didn't feel or sound right to those who may have less privilege than her, or feel like they have less privilege than her. But in actual fact, like was mentioned before, what she said was a fact, was not an opinion. We do all have 24 hours. We don't all have the same privileges and the same opportunities. But I think the real key that I would like to take, or I've taken from what she said, is that regardless of the lack of privilege you have, make sure you don't have a lack of desire. Make sure that if you are unsuccessful, it is not for want of desire. It is at least you've done everything that you can within those 24 hours, as opposed to spending 2 hours working and striving and the other 22 complaining about how much you have to do. And I think that's, for me, where I feel like it's a bit unfair, the level of vitriol that she's getting, especially when you have to remember that the original genesis of that conversation was towards the fact that Molly-Mae was being criticized for getting the position she was getting a couple months back, and the kind of narrative was, oh, she's just a Love Island girl. Love Island girls get loads of money. Love Island girls always are successful. And her point was, well, actually, I worked hard before Love Island to build my following. I've worked hard after Love Island, and whether I had one step up the ladder or two steps up the ladder, I've climbed the ladder regardless. And you don't climb unless you desire to climb. That's my contribution. Thank you, UK.
Thank you. So no replies at the moment. I'm literally gonna probably take 7 more people until I close the room. And I want to say thank you again for people for joining. But it's gonna be Sarah, AJ, King Yoruba, and then Salua, and then maybe 2 more people.
I
Well,
would like to
big one for
speak,
me, Cancer.
Dawn.
Dawn, yes. Oh
Me
yeah,
too.
Queen as well, yes. Anyway, just in that order. So if you just take 2 minutes each, if that's okay. So Sarah, go ahead.
I just don't understand why it's so hard for people to say that Molly-Mae was wrong for what she said, like, or that it was tone deaf and leave it at that. Well, everyone's been 22 at one point or another, or will be 22 at one point or another, and say dumb things. What she said was dumb. Like, it's not that hard of a concept to understand. We have the same 24 hours numerically. We don't have the same experiences in life. We don't have the same privileges in life, nor will we have the same outcomes. It's not that hard of a, like, why people are riding this train for Molly-Mae like they know her personally, or like Molly-Mae's gonna give you guys some of her slice of the pie. I don't get it. Like, it's not. I don't have any hatred towards her. I don't think about her in my day-to-day life. She's not somebody who contributes to my life. What she said was tone deaf. And there's people who make far more money than Molly-Mae who also agreed that what she said was tone deaf. Because if you are a middle class, I would say upper working class, but middle class, upper working class woman, you have more privileges in life. Doesn't mean you don't work hard.
Okay,
Sorry,
thanks.
I had to finish.
Oh, sorry,
Carl.
gone.
It doesn't mean you don't work hard. And that's the thing as well. When people are saying you have privileges, those who are hurt by that statement hear you don't work hard. And nobody, as far as I've been on the stage or in other rooms, nobody has said that. Nobody denies that Molly-Mae works hard. I do think people are being a little bit unjust saying that the PLT thing was handed to her completely, because I can see where she's putting the work before coming on Love Island. Like, that's not, she's strategically putting herself in places, but people are acting like the facts and statistics don't exist. If Molly-Mae was a black person, a black woman in the UK, she was not getting handed a PLT deal, no matter how hard her desires were, no matter how, to that extent. Like, let's stop. And like, especially when I hear black people say this is really that massa pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality. That's what it sounds. This is what white people were telling slaves. If you work hard enough, you can be free. What the fuck? Like, it's not about that. Nobody's saying that there's nothing wrong with working hard, or that if you work hard that it won't pay off. Unfortunately, you have to look at what you deem as hard work, because some of them people in that warehouse are working harder than Molly-Mae probably ever has or ever will do in her real life. That Molly-Mae put herself in positions to get good things. However, the fact that she was able to put herself in those positions is a privilege in and of itself. Like, people, it's not that hard of a debate. No one's coming for her work ethic. I think the girl has mad work ethic. I think work ethic is a good thing. But to say that, oh, it's the same 24 hours was just in poor taste, because really and truly, if Molly-Mae was born in a war-torn country, she ain't getting no PLT deal all of the time. And the thing that's funny about capitalism, especially because this is a thing I see, not even just people of color, but working class people struggling to grasp the most. The few of you that make it to the top, that make it to the 5%, that make it to the millionaire, billionaire stratus, are there as a mirror, so the 95% of you will continue to scramble to the top. That's what it is. Very few people on the stage are going to be on Molly-Mae. Very few people in this world are going to be on Molly-Mae. But the Molly-Mays exist so that the rest of us can continue to work hard and support a system. That it's not like, stop rooting for this girl. She don't give a shit about you. Like, that's the bottom line about it. I don't mean to sound like thingy, but honestly, it just sounds like booty clapping for a white woman who doesn't care about you. And I'm not bringing her race into this as a I hate all white people thing, but that's generally what it sounds like. What she said was in poor taste,
That's
because if you
quite
put
shocking. That's
cry about it then. If you put Molly-Mae in the same position as I am in, or in the same position as a person of color, let's not talk about the fact that she's able-bodied. Let's talk about the things. Her outcome might have been different. She may have had exactly the same work ethic, exactly the same desire. Her outcome might have been different. And that's what privilege is. No one's saying she didn't work hard to get where she is. No one's saying that it's not a good thing that she's working hard. No one's saying that everything is handed to her in life. We're saying that some things, regardless of your desire, regardless of your work ethic, are more accessible or more easily affordable for you to attain because of the privileges you have. If I need to walk to a job center, I can do that because I have 2 legs and an able body.
Sarah,
Somebody in a
my dear, I'm going
wheelchair,
to ask you to wind it up a bit, just because I'm
yeah,
going to wind
I'm
up the
just gonna
whole
wrap
room
it up
soon. But
here.
finish off. Go on,
Yeah,
Sarah.
somebody who is in a wheelchair can have all the desire to have the job I want, but if the job center doesn't have a ramp, guess what? They're not getting that job. If they have a terminal illness and they're not able to get time off work to go and look for a better job, or to go and look, or to put themselves in these fancy clubs where people, they're not gonna get, like, I don't understand what's not clicking for people. It's not that hard of a concept.
All right. Sorry.
Anyway,
Thanks, Sarah. I'm just AJ. Sorry, it was actually Queen. It's going to be Queen, AJ,
Dawn.
King Yoruba.
No, AJ first, then me. Sorry, AJ,
Okay,
go next.
fine. Go AJ, Queen, King Yoruba, then Dawn, and then it's maybe one or two more people. But yeah, go on. Just take a minute or minute and a half. I have to reduce that. I want to finish by 12, maybe just a little bit after 12. Go on, AJ.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just resonate with what Sarah said. Everyone's 24 hours is not the same 24 hours. As a person that was born in a third world country, I was born in Jamaica and then had to come to England, there's a very stark difference between the lifestyles and the amount of privilege you have. Even being able to get on a bus that is not crowded on multiple different times to even be able to get on a work is a damn privilege. What Molly-Mae said was definitely tone deaf. She wasn't wrong inherently, but the way she put it forward made people think that they all had the same 24 hours and they could all do everything if they all put their mind to it in X, Y, and Z. That's not how things work. The best cleaners in the world are probably the hardest workers. Their 24 hours is going to be completely different from yours. They're not going to meet the same success that you do, X, Y, and Z. Number two, when it comes to people like Molly-Mae, and again, this is coming from like a social media standpoint because I deal with social media. People in Molly-Mae's position are getting 10 times the amount for brand deals than people at the exact same level that she has with the exact same following, or even with a better following and a better engagement. That is what you call privilege. What Molly-Mae said wasn't inherently wrong, but what she said was tone deaf because she made it seem like everyone's 24 hours is the same 24 hours, and that if I work hard at anything that I want to do, without all of the extenuating circumstances that are affecting me, that I'm able to become where Molly-Mae, get to where Molly-Mae is. Again, it's just disingenuous. I think we all can understand that it was very disingenuous. What she said wasn't inherently wrong. Yes, we all have the same 24 hours, but the way she made it seem that everyone has the same privilege, and that's just not what it is. She has way more privilege than all of us. And I can tell you from a social media standpoint, the fact that she had 100 and something K followers before she went into Love Island and then came out with 2 million, when other Love Islanders who were quote unquote loved just as much have come out and still haven't received the same success. So to think that no one has privilege and that privilege isn't affecting the way that her career is going is absolutely preposterous. Again, she's 22. What she said was dumb. Although there is truth in it, we do need to pay attention that not everyone's 24 hours is the same, and just overstand that what she said shouldn't be taken for too much merit, especially since I've seen this same rhetoric repeated by multiple people, and no one bats an eye. I don't understand why this whole Molly-Mae thing even became a big thing. But yeah, I land my plane at that. I just want to say, as I said, not everyone's 24 hours is the same 24 hours, and that's where she went wrong.
Thank you, AJ. Now it's Queen, then King Yoruba, then Dawn. Go on.
I'll be really quick because I think most points have been made. I don't kind of want to beat it to death. But yeah, I guess it was just, as I said so very early on when the room started, that I guess my standpoint is between the two. I think the word same is very problematic. Like there's nothing that is the same, that no one has the same 24 hours, as we all know, and has been said several times. But I guess also on that point, I do understand the point that we all do have an area of privilege that does make a difference. And from a really, really small snippet of an experience, like with myself and myself having a disability and being diagnosed with disability, I recognize that my access to medicine, so to the chemotherapy treatment I had, to all of those things, was a postcode lottery. I have a friend that I met whilst I was in chemotherapy that travels 2 hours down to the hospital, whereas I live across the road, and people that have had to fight and go to court to get access to the same medication that I was given, because the hospital that I'm registered at, that I live across the road from, happens to be UCL, which is, as we know, it's a research hospital. So it has loads of money, and I have access to all the medicine and all the support. And my neurologist, who just happens to be my neurologist because he's at the hospital I live across the road from, happens to also be the medical lead for all research for the entire hospital and teachers globally. And I know that's luck. But I also know that luck is, preparation meets opportunity. So in other areas of my life, as I've mentioned before, in being a teenage parent, in having experienced homelessness, even though I know I've worked incredibly, incredibly hard and done lots of different things, I recognize I do have privilege. When I look at people that were in the hostels with me, or who were homeless with me, or who were receiving treatment with me, I recognize as much as I've gone on to achieve lots of different things. And I know I worked hard, and I know I've cried, and I know it's been difficult, and I know all those things I can bore you with. I'm not going to make this a dry motivational speech because I don't think I'm particularly motivational, but I do recognize my own privilege despite all of those things. I recognize where I've had access to resource and opportunities that other people with the exact same condition, the exact same disease, who were also homeless, who were also teenage parents, didn't have access to it. So it's the two things. It's like, of course, I've worked hard. Of course, I don't want people to think that they can't achieve if they don't put their mind to it. Of course, when I speak to young people and other people with disabilities, that is my message. I want to empower, I want to inspire, I want them to believe that there are opportunities possible, but I also recognise where access to resource and opportunity is difficult, and also people's ability to engage in those opportunities when presented with them is also different depending on where they sit, where their position is in society and what they're going through. And that was my only contribution. I think everyone else has been said. Thank you.
Thanks, Queen. King Yoruba, Queen for the
Okay.
King. Haha.
Okay, I've got 2 points to make. My first point is the statement that we all have 24 hours does not equate to we all have the same privilege, we all have the same opportunities. That's not what it means. To me, how I interpreted the statement to mean is that if you want something bad enough, you will utilize those 24 hours to work towards achieving that thing that you want. So that's my understanding of that. And my second point is an observation I've made over the past 2 days because I've seen similar rooms about this topic yesterday and the day before, and I've seen stuff on other social media platforms. One thing I've noticed is that it's mostly women that are complaining about what Molly-Mae said. Majority of the men, when you ask them their perspective on this, they tend to agree with the sentiment that she said. And I'm one of those people too. I agree with what she said. I'm not a fan of Molly-Mae, but I agree with what she said. So I'm kind of interested. Why do people think it's mostly women that take issue with what she said? I'll have my plane there.
Oh, I would like to speak. Well, I'm an older woman. My name's Dawn. I'm an older woman, and my daughter is 28. I remember a little while ago asking my daughter about Molly-Mae, and my daughter was quite impressed with her. She said, "Mum, she's turned down a lot of what's the word, sponsorship, because she wants to remain loyal to her fans." She said she wouldn't wear those clothes, and she's not going to take the money um, um, for clothes that she doesn't wear. So she turned down huge amounts of money. So that shows a little bit of integrity at least. And what I've seen so far is the main argument suggesting that she doesn't have any integrity at all, because she said people have the same 24 hours. And like the gentleman just said before me, that just simply means what will you do as your own personal best within 24 hours. So it seems to me that I detect a lot of jealousy, and more important than that, I detect envy. Now, there is a difference between jealousy and envy. With jealousy, you want to be like the other person. With envy, you want to destroy them. So if she has said, and she's a young girl, only 22, if she said a statement like that and it has polarized people to look at her supposed privilege, because she wasn't being political, she probably had the kind of upbringing where a statement like that was drummed into her. So if she's come out and said uh, everyone has the same 24 hours, I mean, if Oprah Winfrey had said that, I don't think anybody would have said much worse. Now, I'm not, she's a young girl, but I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, I mean, this has polarized everybody, and it's almost like they're saying, Molly-Mae, look at me, I'm over here, and I don't have this, and I don't have that. It's not her fault. She's 22. She used the same 24 hours with the opportunities that she had, and we cannot compare. If you're going to compare like for like. If you are not like her, there is no comparison. It's a contrast. So lots of people are comparing when actually, or they don't know if they're comparing or contrasting. And so it's, to me, I'm just saying, it's about what you do in your personal 24 hours. You cannot judge your level of success, what you have done in that 24 hours, with her. The two things, it's like equating apples and oranges, really. There is no you cannot compare. If That's all I wanted to say.
Wait, Dawn, sorry.
Mindset.
Okay, I'm going to allow one response and then I'm going to sum
Wait,
up.
Oh,
So,
come on. You
okay.
can't allow one response to that because I'm
oh,
sorry.
what I will do, hear me. What I will do, it's just
Yeah.
for the purposes of the podcast, because this whole thing's been a podcast, it's a recorded podcast. So I'll open up a reaction room afterwards. Not a reaction room, I'll just open up a room afterwards. But I do want to sum up. But so I'll give two responses. So it seems like Sarah, you want to
Can I-
respond. You won't be the first, Sarah. Who's the
Can
other
I?
person?
Me, Salwa.
Okay, there's three. Okay, three ladies, go for it. So it's going to be. I heard Gabby speak
But
first.
before you go,
Go on,
am
Dawn.
I going to be subjected to anything,
Oh
or shall I
Okay,
leave now?
okay. Let's do this.
No,
Let's do
no.
this.
Leave now,
Let
baby.
me
Leave
Dawn,
now,
1 second.
baby.
Everybody go on mute, please. Everybody go on mute, please. So in my rooms, I always ask people to only not attack but deal with the arguments people raise, and not the individuals. And if you do start, just if you keep it brief, and probably just to be as kind as possible when you say what you say. So so Dawn, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be in your hands,
Thank you,
Dawn.
my darling. That's absolutely fine. But I didn't get on to attack anyone. I just, as a 50.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm just.
know.
It's only because you said, am I going to be subject to something? That's why I've said
I know,
that.
and just before anyone responds, I just want to say I'm a 57-year-old woman, so I'm just talking from that point of view. Take it away.
So I'm going to start with
Dawn.
Gabby, and then it's going to be Sarah and Salah. 50 seconds, please, each. Thank you. Go.
Miss Dawn, don't worry, you're in good hands. Firstly, May did say was actually quite political. She actually mentioned people that don't have money and people that have bad upbringings. And then she went, but we do have the same 24 hours. So I encourage people to actually listen to what she said. She actually did say that. Secondly, very quickly, it's interesting when a celebrity would sell 50 million records and everyone goes, oh my God, you're so amazing. They'd say, you know what, to be quite frank, it's because of God and it's because of my fans and it's because of the amazing producers and the studio engineer. And that's who they thank when they get their Grammy, correct? But this new generation of influencer, they don't want to do that. They want to say, well, I got it all on my own and don't hate on me. And I think that people are just slightly pushing back and saying, no, you've got good business partners and you're best friends with someone who's got a connection here and there, and it's just not the same. And I think it's not. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, good. So I do think we've had a slight shift in culture where, in order for people to sell more things, they need to brainwash you into thinking that you're not working hard enough if you're not consuming. And anyone that's on social media knows, oh yeah, it's Friday, it's payday, you've worked hard, buy this. But you can't encourage people to buy things if you don't encourage them to work hard, and you can't encourage them to work hard if you don't shame them. So that's just that. We never used to talk like this 20 years ago. It's a massive marketing ploy on social media. And lastly, I just wanted to say that everyone's centering the conversation about me. I don't currently have a brain tumor, but I'm aware that they exist. So I just think it's a bit weird when people come on stage and they're like, I did this with my life. So no, that's not how it works. I didn't grow up in foster care, but I know that thousands of children are. Lastly, again, I think there's a bit of classism in this conversation. Everyone seems to presume that people that don't like what Molly-Mae said are broke. And are coming from a place of, we haven't achieved what we want in our life, and that's why. No.
Can you deliver the point?
Do you know how many? Listen, I think the men on the stage have been quite disrespectful. Chill. That's just that. But secondly,
Just let them. Just let the ladies. Just let them finish.
yeah, it's very. I've noticed that. I think it's really interesting, actually, how a particular type of man has been disrespectful to a particular type of woman on this stage. But whatever. Sorry, the last thing I was going to say, which I would have said by now, is that millionaires have called out Molly-Mae. Like really, really, really rich people have said, honey, you know that we are where we are because of our privilege. So yeah, I just think there's a bit of sort of like classism in some people's arguments. That's all.
Could you wrap it up? So next person is, I think it was Sarah, and then Salua, and then I'm gonna wrap up. Thanks.
Oh, Salua can go before me. I'm just doing something.
50 seconds. All right, 50 seconds, please, Salua, and then Sarah.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and thank you so much, UK Panda, for giving me this opportunity to talk. I just want to say something quickly. It's I think Molly-Mae, she's lucky, and there are many other girls. They have more skills and they have more talents and they have more, but they didn't have the chance that Molly-Mae had. So she had the chance to be in Love Island, and that made her
famous and made her, and because she's pretty, because I think if she's like oversized, or she's like not pretty, or I don't think she will be in Love Island. I don't think she will have the footballer. So she, like some girls, some people said in the room, is privileged. She was privileged to be in Pretty first, and to be in the room, to be in, sorry, in Love Island. And then she got her husband or her boyfriend, the footballer, who helped her as well, who is a big name as well, to make her succeed. So everyone has 24 hours. Yes, we have, but we don't have the chance. My daughter, for example, she has amazing voice, and she's 20, but she didn't have the chance. No one. I tried many times, but no one gave her the chance. And so this is what I want to say, that we have 24 hours, but we don't have the chance. We don't have, sometimes is luck, I think, or most time. But we try hard to get what we want, but sometimes doesn't work. So that's what I wanted to say. And I'm done. And thank you so much for letting me talk.
Thank you, Salwa. Thanks for your contribution. Sarah, and I should say before Sarah goes, just a couple of things, a bit of housekeeping. So I've scheduled a recap room after. It's there. It's going to be in my club, UK Panther Talks. So do follow me and the other mods and the other people on stage for that room. I'll just open it up, and I'm going to add a few moderators so people can control the discussion a bit more themselves and so on. And I'm just going to go to Sarah. Go on, Sarah. Sorry, I think Stefan wanted to come on. I'm only going to let Stefan go because I've been speaking to Stefan on the app the whole year, and I just thought I'd just give him an opportunity to speak since he wanted to just chime in. So Sarah, it'll be Sarah then Stefan, then I'm definitely going to wrap up. Go on, Sarah.
I was just gonna say quickly, you'd think after like a global pandemic that people would realize that opportunities aren't the same for everybody, but clearly flying over some of y'all's heads. Nobody hates Molly-Mae. Most people don't care. Not everybody's poor, and it's not poverty that's making everybody hate Molly-Mae. What she said was tone deaf. Like I said, 22-year-olds make mistakes, but if you're going to come on a platform and speak publicly when you have the resources to get people to train, and that's another thing. She has her hands in too many pockets. It's not everybody that needs to be on a podcast or presenting or doing all of these things. Like, she just needs to stick to what she knows, what she does best, what she's good at making money at. I don't think she's exempt from critique because she's a 22-year-old, or because she's went on Love Island. Like, stop. Molly-Mae has enough supporters. Like, you need to ask her why you're really dick riding. I'm sorry.
Take time. Let's not descend.
Yeah, let me say for that room.
Thank
It's
you.
fine. It's fine.
All right, just wrap it up there. So I'm just going to go to Stephanie. Still on stage? If not, I'm going to wrap up. All right. Look, hi everybody. Thank you very much for listening to UK Panther Talks. I've not said much. I kind of just moderated, but my underlying purpose for this discussion was to look at different approaches to success. I'll be quite frank with you on in terms of what I've heard, and maybe people won't agree with my conclusion. It does seem that there's it kind of seems like 50-50 based on what I've heard. It's not scientific anyway, because obviously the people who've joined the room don't necessarily reflect society or anything else that's scientific, but it kind of seems, some people are saying, the 24 hours, we should just look at it literally, and it means that you should use that time to do the best that you can do in that time, and you might have some limitations, whereas other people are saying, no, we need to look at what those limitations actually mean, and it seems to be too much of a vague comment to say 24 hours and not taking into account people's background and privilege generally. So that's what I'm hearing. So I'm not going to, well, I'm not here to judge anything. That's just what I've observed, I suppose. But I think the most important thing to take away from conversation like this, as I say, I'm just a bloke on the internet, looking at stuff on the internet, speaking to people on the internet, is the things that I've taken away are a few of the comments, as I say, this difference, that we don't always start from the same place, demographics affect things, and people's vantage points might also affect how they motivate people. But something that a lot of people were happy to say was a good comment, I think came from Ed, was that it's all about equitable access to opportunities, and some people have reflected on their own work experience. Some people found that back in the day we're working a lot, but what's important now is to work smartly rather than working hard. and look at, you know, forms of passive income. I don't want to go into mention the other bits because I don't give financial advice and stuff like that. But people mention crypto, people mention property, stuff like that in the new age when those, you know, crypto is something that's news that's arisen. But I wouldn't advise on it. But, you know, I think it's about exploring different income opportunities. Some people have been concerned about a perceived hatred of poverty in people, and the fact that I think that was Gabby, not everybody wants to be rich. So somebody who might be working, and I'm not making a criticism, but just as an observation, you know, somebody who might be quite happy working in a retail job or whatever it is, or, you know, jobs on any particular level. Not everybody wants to be a millionaire, and also if everybody's a millionaire, then who does the other jobs, who does the other work? In terms of advancement, Tox came in and said, you know, he well, I don't want to go into the whole privilege thing, but it's, in terms of getting yourself to a level above where you are, he referred to education and the benefit of educating yourself. And I think also thinking, he didn't use this word, but thinking maybe pragmatically when you hit a glass ceiling and looking at other areas to advance yourself and make money. And sometimes at the earlier levels, when you're trying to break through, you might be required to do certain jobs that you don't want to do, but it might just last for a while. And, you know, referring to, you know, charity shops and things like that. And also the idea that, you know, a lot of talk's been had in this room about privilege, but, you know, others argue that you don't need privileges or silver spoon to get forward in life. Some people also rely on their religious beliefs, and it's, even when you hit a glass ceiling, it's possible to advance beyond that. So it's been a really interesting discussion. I mean, I would go back and maybe clip those points. I mean, some additional other points made, like when life knocks you down, it's your fault if you stay down, and looking at a half full approach. But also considering that sometimes where you're born might give you advantages in life, maybe patriarchy, maybe your gender might give you a privilege, but underlying everything in terms of trying to do better, it's about mindset. And that's why I kind of, those are the observations that I've made and that I've listened to in the room. There's others that I'm not going to go back and look at the Twitter at the moment, but there's no doubt there's people have made some comments on the Twitter timeline on the hashtag Molly-Mae Hague, and also in the Discord, which I've pinned earlier, so you can go back to it. But I'm just going to keep it with this because this is the room. If you just copy that link above, that's the room that I'm going to do after this, so that people can just maybe speak freely. I might add quite a few people's participation who might not have been able to jump on today. But yeah, overall, I think it's been a really decent discussion. It's not gotten out of control or anything. I'm just going to add the Discord again. I want to thank everybody for coming, for joining it. And yeah, it's been great. That's been UK Panther Talks, and I'm done. Thank you.
Great room, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great room.
Fantastic
Great
room,
room.
UK. Well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to pin the Discord and then I'm going to shut down the room.
And well moderated too, UK. Well done.
Oh, thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
So if you just follow that link, I'm just going to, sorry, 1 second.
UK Panther.
What I'm going to do is, yeah. If you just follow that link.
Sanjay, is Sanjay here? Sanjay, can you come to the room, please? Thank you.
The link's not open yet. Wait, come to the what room?
The room that UK's creating it.
I'll say no.
Alright, see you then.
It's my clubhouse birthday.
Oh, happy club anniversary, Nadia.
We'll throw you a clubhouse party later.
Hey. This was such a good room, guys.
I thought you fell asleep, Nadia. I didn't even realise.
No, I'm here.
Is that the new room up there that's been posted?
Yeah, I don't think it's open yet now.
Okay. Let's check if it's open.
I don't wanna be famous. Just put me, watch me, play me. When I name my price, pay it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Ride it, ride it, ride it, ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Ride it, ride it, ride it, ride it. UK, Panther. UK, Panther. UK, Panther. UK, Panther. UK, Panther. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. 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 Ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I 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 ride it.
Room's open now.
Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Ride it, ride it, ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Jump on the rhythm and I ride it. Big producer out here, get me?